Between the two of them.
The inside of Coates.
Larkin gets too heavily involved.
And that's Whitehead and Coates.
thank you to Jack Smith for providing the hot lap there. We're looking at around about 1:39, was it, on the timing there for the benchmark. Qualifying underway. At the moment we've got Chris Blakey on top of the standings from Eric Axelson. It's good to have Eric back. He's always a big hole in the injury list, isn't he, when Eric's not here.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he's currently on to finish a fantastic lap at the moment. 2 purple sectors so far. He's going to cross the line in just a moment's time. Here he comes. Let's see. It's a 1:39.8, so already in that 39 zone that we were talking about just a moment ago. But yeah, Eric is no matter what car he seems to be driving, he turns up, he's quietly confident, and always puts on a good show.
Yeah, he does indeed. It's Christian Gillian. We'll see whether Eric can. We're trying to work out actually whether Eric can still do the championship. He'd probably say he can't do the championship, but he's on 237 points, playing 258 from Oliver Gibson at the moment, P2. But he won't be bringing any more scores in because it was a 0 last week. So basically every point has got to count for him. Josh Martin is back with us again. And had a pretty good week last week. He was quite bullish about getting back on the podium, and it was good to get that interview with him. And talking of returning, Scott Goodman, we missed him last week as well, which was a big pity. Scott was passed in the table by Josh Martin, so we'll see whether Scott can get back on terms with him today. I guess the thing is, if you miss a couple of rounds and there's no real chance in a championship, it is, as Scott said, all about, you know, getting your elbows out and just go to enjoy the event and try and win, which is what he did a couple of rounds ago at our meeting at that would have been Norisring, wouldn't it? He got his elbows out and got stuck in. Had a good day as well, because I think when you're not in contention for the overall championship, then you can maybe relax a little bit more.
Yeah, absolutely. I think those of us racing fans who maybe aren't the biggest fans of the mats behind the scene often do quite enjoy when the championship isn't really that much in the big picture, as much as the fight as well. It's great just to see everyone just going out and out, elbows out, having some fun out there on track. That end of term feeling almost, but on the racetrack.
Yes, that's right. Do we all get virtually sloshed after the last round, do we? Or?
Who said virtually?
Well, yeah, that is it, isn't it? Here's Harry Ormerod. Great to have Harry back. He wasn't with us last time, Harry Ormerod, so we were a couple of drivers down in terms of work commitments. But Harry was never present before that round. We missed him, of course, he wasn't ever present. He missed him at Hockenheim. What am I talking about? But great to see the Jägermeister car out there and doing well here out in Austria. Oschersleben, by the way, the original name just means Austrian racetrack, believe it or not, so they're pretty literal, the Tyroleans. And from the look of it, not a track I've been to. I don't even remember watching Formula 1 about it, if I'm brutally honest, but it is a great track, as we saw from the onboard hot lap, and as we can see from the onboard here with the fine teapot, Mr. Potter.
Yeah, absolutely. See those elevation changes heading into those braking zones. They had such a challenge to this circuit for the drivers. It is a fantastic venue. I have been watching it over the past few seasons in Formula 1, and even in those years when you think, you know, the racing is going to be that great, Austria always delivers. It's a classic racing venue, and we're enjoying it with some what are now considered classic racing cars, of course. So that just makes it all the better. Yeah,
yes, that's true. Oliver Gibson now P2, so it's Axelson, Gibson, Smith. Eric going for the extra point for fastest lap. And Eric with just the one pole so far. It was Norisring, so you couldn't get two completely different circuits because it was the Norisring and the Red Bull Ring. And that just goes to show we know how versatile Eric is. We don't have to say how wonderful he is because he knows, and all of yours I think you probably know that as well. But at the moment he is the man on the mission, and I'm wondering whether he feels less pressure having been away last week. We'll find out on the interview. And I was wondering, because our shout out, I thought our shout out driver might be on. Daniel Heaps has called up. Has he got internet problems again, Daniel? Yeah, fingers crossed that he hasn't got those issues. Now I'm going to start writing names down because we need to sort out points as much as anything. Actually, I know it's probably more personal to do during the racing to get points out, isn't it? Oliver Gibson in P2. We look at him momentarily and then switch back to Alex Walker. Alex at the moment in 15th place. Not his best, but equally not his lowest on the timing sheets for qualifying as well. Alex was not with us last week at Zandvoort, but very clearly back today, so getting in his stride at the moment and trying to overcome on the timing screen Olivia Krasnowska, but John Jones behind Alex on the timing screen. Josh Martin, a very recalcitrant 17th at the moment, so and quite a way off, so he doesn't look like he's done any serious qualifying laps at the moment, Josh Martin, so he could be someone to watch maybe for the first reverse grid race. As we switch our attention to Adam Lyle, who's getting a little bit of momentum now, Reeve, in terms of podiums in the championship.
Yeah, absolutely. Last time I saw Adam Lyle in any kind of real racing capacity was in the Leon Cooper Cup, and you just can't get any more of a different car, really, can you? So it's great to see these drivers start to adapt and kind of push on further throughout the championship. Just didn't get more to grips with the car as well. What a different circuit as well, as you say, to the previous race. Here at Austria, it's all about the high speeds. It's all about having that confidence in the platform of the car throughout the faster corners when you're pulling a little bit of G-force there and trusting that the car's going to grip. So it's going to be a real test of bravery, this track, I think, to those drivers who are going to set these fast laps now.
It is. I just find it a weird experience that most of these guys aren't going to get a chance to race at many of these tracks. You know, when we were at Zandvoort, there is always the opportunity for British drivers in one form or another to get the opportunity to go and race at Zandvoort. It's not actually that far away. Nurburgring 24 hours. Sometimes a lot of drivers will go and have a crack around there. Nurburgring is one of the circuits that we can go for trips for, but I do find it a little bit odd. It's going to be very interesting on the World Touring Car Championship when we have that huge variety of new circuits to VRRC, and again, venues that drivers aren't necessarily going to visit at any point in their career. So it is literally all for fun, isn't it? There's the honour of being the winner as well. But essentially, if you're practicing on circuits you're not going to race, it's just for the crack, really.
Yeah, we're looking on at Eric Axelsen once again. He had that early peak in the session, 139.8. Hasn't quite matched that just yet. It's in the 40s there. Just see a bit of back end non-compliance through that final corner. I think the curb upsetting the car ever so slightly. These curbs, of course, in a Formula 1 car, they're not going to care all that much about the curbs. The cars are travelling at immense speeds and are designed to take these curbs. These are just over 1 ton, small little road cars. These curbs are going to matter to these cars. So drivers are going to have to be careful to avoid those to make sure that they're pointing in the right direction in qualifying. Yeah,
they will. And we were talking about track limits yesterday. I was at a meeting yesterday, and track limits came up, as inevitably it does. Not a race meeting, but a business meeting. And there are some very interesting track limit solutions upcoming in the next few months. So I think we might see them implemented at the top level of British racing. I can't say any more at the moment because it's still sort of the contracts being having the I's dotted and the T's crossed, etc., etc. But I'm wondering whether that kind of innovation will feed through very quickly into the virtual world. One would hope that it will, because it's so rich in some time, and it sounds like a very, very sensible solution that they were discussing yesterday. So something to look forward to. Hopefully in the new season. I don't think it's going to negate the MSV tracks in terms of they'll still have their sensors and cameras on their bits and pieces, but by and large I think that the new tech will help the clerks of course a great deal and give the drivers a better understanding of what they've done as well. So we look forward to that. 2 minutes 14 to go. Jack Smith now at the top of the stack. So it is Jack the leader at the moment as we follow Scott Budner. Scott 4th, Adam Lyle 5th, Chris Blakey actually top 6th. Daniel Heap's doing well, he's in 7th, ahead of Thomas Potter, so those two teenagers doing well. And let's have a little ride round with Scott Budner and let's see what Scott can do, see whether we can get up into the top 3.
Yeah, absolutely. As Scott jumps on to start another lap here. It's a good one so far. He's going to come across the line with 2 personal bests through sector 1 and sector 2. He crosses the line at 140.1 there, so stage P4 for the moment. I want to mention Eric Axelsen did actually have a quicker time than Jack Smith Oh, I think that was the lap that we were looking when he had his little loss at the final corner. Unfortunately for Eric, that was foul of track limits. That time looks to have been deleted now. He stays in P2 for the time being. Jack Smith, though, as we say, very hot on his heels with that 1:39.8. On board at the moment with Josh Martin. Josh Martin is currently on for a decent lap here. An improvement through the first sector, goes slightly wide perhaps as we run through the final 2 corners and back onto that start-finish straight now, where you unleash 320 German horsepower on all the way up into that long braking zone into that first corner. It's a fabulous thing to behold if you've ever tried it in your own simulator rigs at home. So that long kind of upwards curve into turn 1.
Have you done many events here?
Only the odd one or two. I think the highlight was probably a virtual race against Lando Norris.
Yes.
That was pretty fun. Yeah, that was in the middle of lockdown. That was great fun. Didn't end up. He very much beat me at Austria, but in Spa I actually beat him, so I'll take that.
Excellent. Oh, well done, well done. That's great. That's great stuff.
I've never lived it down. That was the peak, really.
Oh, really good. And that's the beauty, isn't it, of sim racing? You get the chance to, and you know, fair play, as you said, lockdown, so Lando was on his way up the ladder then, so it's great that drivers put their reputations on the line and happy to do it. So, mark of the man there is Oliver Gibson going up to the top of the stack there. So we're going to end up interviewing the 2 brothers here. We've only got 4 seconds left. In fact, no, we're over, aren't we? So we've got checkered flags appearing. It was -4, not 4 seconds left as I looked at it. So Oliver Gibson potentially pole position here from Jack Smith. Eric Axelsen is 3rd, and I hate it when they do it on the last lap because it means he's got to rewrite the order, which is not very helpful at all.
Great lap though from Oliver Gibson, it must be
Fantastic.
said, 1:39.6.
So Oliver Gibson on provisional pole as we watch Daniel Heaps, who has been higher than his present 9th place, and this is the territory where he might be up for if he stays where he is in the race, doesn't improve too much, he'll be in line maybe for reverse grid pole and another podium. He had his first podium with you, didn't he, and Henry Foot, when you guys were commentating the week that I was away, and then he backed it up with another podium the following week, and since then I think he's been trying to find his feet a little bit as Daniel Heaps. It looks like he's going to stay in the top 10. He takes the checker, remaining in 9th place for the moment. We'll see what those behind him can do. Oliver Gibson still pedaling around, so Oliver on for potential pole position here. So it's Oliver from Jack, then Eric Axelsen. I'll tell you what, we're going to have a great race here with all of these guys all in very close proximity. Scott Budner is never to be discounted as well in 4th place, and then in 5th position Adam Carroll, followed by Andy Carroll, getting me Adams and Andy's model up once again, and then after Andy Lyle it's Josh Martin. Chris Blakey in 8th place. Scott has a little moment on the grass, which is not too good. Daniel Heaps does wind up in 9th place. Thomas Possett in 10th. Christian Gilliam 11th from Paul Laramie and Lee Pearcey. Next up is Sam Walton, and we'll have a word with our pole position man in just a couple of minutes. So, welcome back, and it's time for our pole position interview. Very well done indeed to Oliver Gibson. Congratulations. And what was the advice that you were getting just then?
Not to take Jack out, and Jack not to take me out. So yeah, hopefully not. It's a bit of a tricky turn one. I think this is our first front row lockout, actually, come to think of it, in this series.
Yeah, we locked out the podium on the last round, last race last week. This is like a takeover now, isn't it?
Yeah, it's great.
You know, I mean, well done. We're not knocking it. It's great for, you know, that you guys set yourselves up as the guys that the other drivers want to be. But that was an interesting session, actually. Even I watching with great interest, and you know, several different people held sway at the top. So was it a question of timing for you?
It was just about getting the lap together, to be honest. The track is so many curbs on this track that if you hit wrong, the lap's ruined. Turn one, for example, is a big, there's a big curb and on the exit as well. So if you mess that up, that's there's a big straight. So that's basically your lap done. But there's also track limits as well. So it's just about finding the sort of the right lap. Obviously, it was at the right time, right at the end. So that was good. But yeah, I knew I could do something like that. But it was just about putting it together because it's so difficult. I've been struggling so much with that in practice.
How far away from your best time in practice were you, do you think?
I think that was my fastest, actually.
Oh, was it? Oh, nice one.
Yeah.
So that's pretty good then. So you still a bit more to come then.
Oh, I don't know if there's much else. There was a 5 on the Delta, but I mean, it's pretty unrealistic because if I didn't do that corner before as fast, then this one would have been as good, sort of thing. So
yeah, that's the thing with those, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Eric did do a 5, so I was a bit worried. I was watching his time at the end and praying that he wasn't going to beat me. So luckily, it's a front row in the pole for me.
That's good. So it also means, I mean, the likelihood is that yourself and Jack are going to be tied together all the way through the 3 races. So, barring any problems, there's not going to be any variance for you. It's a straight head-to-head between the 2 championship leaders.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun one, I think. We'll see what happens. Obviously, it's all I can think about is Mercedes back when they had Rosberg and Hamilton at this track at turn 3, the one at the top of the hill, I think. So hopefully not doing that. But yeah, I think I'm just going to head down, see what happens. I think in this first race, and obviously the other races, we'll see where I start. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Pit strategy was a thing, wasn't it, in the feature race last week between the 2, and it looked like maybe Jack just sort of nailed the timing on it. Is that going to be an issue? Are you going to have you shared your strategy or your setup at all for today?
Jack usually shares his, and he has tonight, so I think I'll be I'll be copying that. I'll just do what he does. It worked last week. He won the 3rd race last week. I didn't, so I'll just copy him, see what happens. Yeah, it's going to be a tricky one, I think, tonight, because the tyres, Jack did testing, and the mediums apparently were a lot slower than the softs, so We'll see what we do with that. But yeah.
You've got when I was doing the rundown in the sort of intro to the meeting, we were saying that you've got the highest score of the series so far. It was at Oschersleben, you got 60 points. So between you, you've got records here and there. Obviously, you both locked out the P1 and P2 last week at Zandvoort, but Jack managed to grab 2 wins and the first driver to do that in this campaign. So that's one of the things I love about sim racing. You can get lots of championships because in the real world you've got to wait the entire winter for another championship. Then you've got to wait all year for it to be finished, rather than a nice neat 8-week run here, which you get. And if you have a bad 8 weeks, then another championship's along in a couple of months, isn't it?
Yeah, it's good. Obviously a lot cheaper than real life as well. So yeah, no, it is good fun. This championship I've really enjoyed because I think these cars are so fun to drive, so fun to race as well. I think have I won 3 races now? I think I have, which is my most successful. So the previous was 2 wins, and I'm on 3 wins. So
okay, so that's good progress. Yeah,
positive signs. I'll try and keep that up.
And even better that you remembered, mate.
Yeah, no, yeah. No, I always remember my wins.
Feature race at Oschersleben, second sprint race at Lausitzring, and obviously the second race last week at Zandvoort. So yeah, good track record so far. And yeah, as you carry on learning, obviously you'll get more and become more difficult for the other drivers to beat. So anyway, well done on pole, Oliver. No doubt we'll catch up with you a little bit later on, and I hope you enjoy the race. And thanks for having a chat with us. And well done again.
Yeah, will do. Cheers.
That was Oliver Gibson, our pole man for our 7th event of the season at the Red Bull Ring, and we switched liveries only just slightly to have a chat with our shout-out driver today, which is Jack Smith. And we wanted to, we'll come to the main point in a minute. I just want to say well done on a good qualifying there. It was very, very close between you, Eric, and your brother, wasn't it?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it was quite a surprising P2, to be honest. I wasn't really expecting. I was expecting to be behind Scott. That was where my pace was in practice before the sessions. So yeah, somehow found a little bit that I don't know. In practice, the front just died off for me. It felt really different from the practice beforehand, and I think that must have been a mental thing because I've come into quali and it's come back again. So yeah, it's strange how it can change from a session just in your mind. But yeah, it's just one of those things. But yeah, we're on P2 now. We expected a good race from Ollie, and you can't discount anyone behind you. You got Eric and Scott and Andy, who are all really fast normally anyway. So yeah, I've just got to try and keep my head down. Try not to have any incidents. We should get away and get some nice points in this first race, I think.
Excellent. As we got the chance to talk to you, kind of not being a pole interview, wanted to sort of find out a little bit more about what makes you tick and what are your aims in motorsport? I mean, are you working in the industry? Are you looking to try and get involved?
Yeah, hugely. I'm currently in the process of just volunteering to be a data engineer. So I'm literally handing out my CV saying I'll do work for free, and that's just something I love doing it for this. Like, I've got my own strategy spreadsheet set up. I figure out a predicted strategy for the race and when the optimal time to pit is and everything like that. So yeah, I do all that sort of stuff, and I just want to get that into the real world now and see if I can make a living from it. So yeah, that's the aim.
How mobile are you to do that weekends? I mean, is it you can come down to Brands Hatch, or how will that work for you?
Yeah, I mean, if that's what it takes. I've got my own car, so I'll just drive down if there's a weekend on. Currently my work's really flexible, so I can just go whenever. I can book it off and then just go down for a race weekend. So yeah, there's still a lot I need to learn. Obviously, being on sim racing, it's a bit different to the real thing. Like, I don't really know how to transfer from cars just yet, but I know what I'm doing when it comes to manipulating the data and making car setups and stuff like that. So yeah, there's still bits for me to learn. Hence why I'm doing it for free at the minute. But yeah, it's just one of those things you need the experience state before you can reap the rewards. So
yeah, I mean, many years ago when I started commentating, that's what I did. I did a couple of freebies, and then people are happy once they see what you can do to pay you, and that's exactly how it starts. And I always hope that I didn't undercut anybody else, and I know you want to do the same thing, but people do employ you if they want you. So what age are you, for people that, if anyone's listening to this interview, if it gets cut up and posted on social? So how old are you, and any specific type of racing you want to do or get involved with?
Yeah, so I'm 25. I've just graduated from uni with a master's degree, so in motorsport engineering. So I'm fairly clued in. Did all sorts of projects. I worked on Formula Fords, worked on the Formula Student project, where we actually came away with a win in the Dynamic events in 2021, which is huge for UCLan. That was the first ever they've got any reward from Formula Student. So that was a big achievement for myself. And yeah, I just purely looking to do GT, anything, Formula car based, basically, just anything. Anything with the steering wheel, 4 wheels is what I want to be looking at, really. And yeah, just race engineering, really. That's where my passion is at the minute. There's something about just making a setup and just watching the car like improve lap after lap after lap, just making run plans. Yeah. I don't even need to be driving. Half the fun for me is setting a strategy up, setting a car setup up, and yeah, just seeing how it goes. And it's that iterative process that I really love. So yeah, that's really what I'm in for.
We'll get something sorted for you. If not through tonight, we'll do it on social media. We'll get something sorted out for you, mate. Don't you worry about that.
Sure. Thank you very much. That'd be
really good. No, that's a pleasure. Thanks for the chat. We've got just over a minute and a half before we get ready, so I'm going to let you get away and get ready for the race. But thanks for that, Jack, and good luck, and we'll try and help you along the way with that as we can. If anyone is listening, just get in touch with Jack, and you've got yourself a great resource and a great lad straight away for your team. So if it doesn't come through here, get in touch with us on social media.
Yeah, cheers. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jack Smith. So fingers crossed that he will sort something out, and we'll be able to bring you that news in the next series, hopefully. Media is a great thing, certainly broadcast a great thing. But we're ready for the race, and I'm going to ask, Reeve, what are your thoughts looking forward to this one? How's it going to pan out, do you think?
I think there's going to be a lot of fun heading into turn one here. The two siblings, as you say, on the front row of the grid. Good to hear that they're not going to be too elbows out. I think heading into turn one, they're going to just play it cool and try and break away from that pack here. But we know there's plenty of overtaking opportunities here at the Red Bull Ring, so I'm expecting some great racing.
I think we're going to get some great racing as well, and we are very nearly into the lighting sequence here at Red Bull Ring. So you'll see that pop up on your screen in just a moment. The two brothers that we just heard from, about to go head-to-head with Eric Axelsen, Scott Budner on row 2. They're going to be keen to get in the thick of the action as well. As the lights disappear from the screen, the cars disappear from the grid, and we are racing here at the Red Bull Ring, and it's side-by-side for the lead. Jack Smith's just got the initial launch, but Oliver Gibson gets the run as they go side-by-side through turn 1, and it's Oliver Gibson who just gets the better of Jack Smith. Eric Axelsen immediately giving chase. He's all over the back of them. He's keen not to let a gap develop at this early stage. We ride on board with Jack Smith in P2, and he's going to challenge for the lead, Reeve.
He is, yeah, goes to the inside into that second corner there, and the move sticks late on the brakes. Textbook move. Eric Axelsen looked eager to try and take second himself, but had to back out, but just at the last moment. That overtake realistically was set up all the way back at turn 1. That confidence to hang it around the outside paid dividends there, as we see now Eric Axelsen actually under pressure from Adam Lyle, as now all of a sudden there's going to be Oliver Gibson potentially wondering if he's going to have a two-pronged attack for P2.
Yeah, I think he probably will. That was superb timing from Jack Smith, because he realised that Eric Axelsen at that point was right behind him and was going to put the pressure on. But as you said, Adam Lyle has come through as well. So Adam Lyle having a good run. Eric Axelsen down to 4th. Then it's Andy Carroll. Scott Budman down in 6th at the moment. It's a little bit of a surprise. Make that 7th, because Josh Martin has just got ahead of him as well, as he rides on board with Eric Axelsen, who's actually got to work to get back into a podium position, which is most unusual for Eric, but gets very close there. Now, was that a sort of a PT outage, bit of lag?
Yeah, it looks to be that case there. We did have a pop-up on our timing system to say very brief collision, but it was very high and very low speed. So no ill effects from that one as we head back onto the start-finish straight. We've got a gaggle of cars, actually, just a few cars behind, all forming up there. Thomas Potter, Lee Pearcey in the mix as they fight into that first corner. But we go back now on to the straight between the first and the second corner. There's probably some name which I would butcher the pronunciation of. So we see them now heading up the hill once again. So much of this track is that steep rise in elevation before it gradually descends back down through the hills. A marvellous circuit, as we see Eric Axelsen now putting the pressure on Adam Lyle, copying his every line, and all depends on this run through now for that third one. Launch out the second can make such a big difference. A flash of the brake lights, not something you usually expect to see as we jump onto the straight.
No, it's unusual here. Let's see if Eric can squeeze his way past. Looks to the outside run here. Was that going to be a bit track limity on the way in? He's certainly trying to maximise the momentum into and therefore out of the corner to close down on Adam Lyle immediately ahead of him. So Eric Axel in 4th position. It's Carroll next up from Bugner. Daniel Heaps has done well, made a couple of positions up on his start. He's running in 7th place from Josh Martin, then Lee Pearcey. So it's always, the first race is fascinating, the second race will be fascinating because we've got the partial reverse, and then we've got the feature race, which has got so much more to offer as well, with the tyre and pit stop strategy, as well as being a reverse grid race. But Jack Smith settling into this nicely now, 5/10 clear at the moment of his brother, and we've right on board with Oliver Gibson now. They didn't take each other out, they needed the advice into turn 1, as we would have expected them to do. is Adam Lyle in third, who can't get away from Eric Axelsen at the moment. And I'm wondering if they realise they probably need to work together to keep the two brothers in sight at the moment. It's not that much of a squabble, is it? Eric, out of anybody here, the Super Swede, will know that if he gets involved in a squabble, it will slow them down. So maybe he'll just work with Lyle in these early stages to keep in touch with the lead. But at some point, he wants to get up onto the podium. He's going to have to make a move. They will back him. That will ultimately slow them down.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that is what is happening at the moment. Eric and Adam are on a 40.0 and a 40.2 respectively in terms of their last lap. Oliver Gibson and Jack Smith just a little bit slower at this phase, so I do think they are working together. Potentially Eric seeing an opportunity for a move into the third corner there, but they've thought better of it. Yes, I think they are slowly progressing nicely up towards our two front runners as we enter a different dimension and jump back into Adam Lyle's car there. Some really nice pace coming in from these drivers. Now Jack Smith has responded potentially to my calls there for a bit more pace from the front runners with a purple sector. Oliver Gibson still setting in those personal bests. Adam is as well. We're seeing that through the midfield. So these drivers 5 minutes into the sprint race are still getting into a really nice rhythm here. These tyres now up to temperature and ready to go racing with the fuel load potentially beginning to drop now as well.
Yes, it is. So this is where the feature races are a real bit special, isn't it? And it was interesting to hear the comments about the tyres, and it'll be fascinating to know how that plays out a little bit later on. But the top four really establishing themselves well here. Braking clear, working hard, not squabbling too much, just getting their heads down. And I suppose if they do end up in a squabble, we'll get the fifth place car. It's currently Andrew Carroll from Scott Brugner. Scott will be a little bit frustrated, maybe a bit race rusty perhaps, as Eric Axelsen now starts to make the move, pulls out of the slipstream, and he's got the line here down on the inside. A very well timed run by Eric Axelsen, and they don't go. Oh, they get into a little bit of paint trading now. I was about to say they're not getting into squabbling, but now they are, because Eric lost a wee bit of momentum there, as sometimes you do, and Lyle goes back into third place. So Adam Lyle back into third, and Eric's super effort comes to nothing there, and you can see now they've started squabbling. There's a gap developing between the front pair and these two.
Yeah, there absolutely is. That turn 2 was absolutely perfect for Eric Axelsen. Sorry, no, it was not absolutely perfect for Eric Axelsen. There was a little bit of camber coming into play here. It's got a nasty camber on it, that corner, and it can upset the back end of these rear-wheel drive cars. We jump down the order to have a look at Daniel Heaps, a decent amount of pace from the midfield. They are right there with our front runners and enjoying their own battling as we see now. Daniel trying to find a way past Scott Bugner as we run through the second part of the lap. In fact, the third sector, the final part of the lap, if you will, and the penultimate corner coming up next, of course. The bizarre pit entry here at the Red Bull Ring as the cars just kiss the curbs ever so gently. A bit of back end squirreling around for Scott Bugner as we jump back onto the start-finish straight, and now we see Josh Martin and a few others in the mix here as well. It's a great battle forming up at the top end of the field.
It just goes to show how quickly these races can change. This is the view back to Josh Martin, who had more than a couple of links between himself and Daniel Heaps, who we're looking for at the moment in P7. Heaps up with Scott Bugner. Oh, he's lost a wee bit of ground, isn't he? Oh no, he's right there with Scott Bugner. I'm looking at the car ahead, which is Carroll, who is there as well. But here comes Heaps having a go as we look. He's the right of shot. Is he on the right side of the track as they come into the corner? No, he's not quite, but he's going to try and hang it around the outside and hold on to it. Again, there's a wee bit of contact between the two cars, and this allows, once again, Josh Martin, where he was in touch with one car, he's now in touch with two. So Martin here, if it all pans out well, could make up 2 places. He'll be rubbing his hands together. No, he won't. He'll be keeping on the steering wheel. It's always a metaphoric rubbing of hands together as Jack Smith still continues to lead with the fastest lap, and this 3-way battle going on for 6th place continues.
It does there. Scott Bugner just a slight bit of sorry, not Scott Bugner, Andy Carroll there with a little bit of a respite from the rest of the pack here, breaking way up so slightly, but it is Scott Bugner looking through his rear view mirrors, I suspect, as we head through the turn 6, turn 7 complex, running back towards the final part of the lap. In the meantime, the drivers at the front end of the field haven't really made too much progress. Not much has changed there, but there is still plenty of change throughout the pack. Thomas Potter in the mix here.
Yeah, Thomas still trying to
Sorry, I think my mic just cut out there. Apologise.
Yeah, I think he did, yeah. That's all right. These things happen. Thomas in 11th from us. He's got one place to be Piercy from where he qualified, but Thomas, as we saw last time out, very capable, as indeed most of the drivers are, of getting up into podium positions. So Christian Gillian up ahead of him at the moment, Thomas Potter and Lee Piercy there. So Piercy having to replace these guys actually at the moment. How long have we got to go? We've got 5 minutes 58 remaining. So well into the second half of our first race of the day. Potter in 11th, is he going to be able to make up a position here? Lee Piercy trying to get away from those guys at the moment. And this group again, not that far away from the car they'll see in front. Paul Laramie will see Josh Martin in front. And of course Josh, Scott and Andy Carroll all in that group not far away from the lead group. So things haven't strung out too far, which is indicative of the pace of everybody in our opening race here at Red Bull Ring.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we're also seeing potentially a little bit of backing each other up going on here as well. They've been in the midst of battle for quite a while within this race, and there's a decent delta between the likes of Daniel Heaps, Josh Martin in the 140s, and Paul Laramie and Lee Piercy and Thomas Potter in the 42s here. So I think we are seeing these drivers enjoying a battle, but perhaps not progressing as much as they would like to see. Daniel Heaps trying to find a way past Josh Martin, having a brief look around the outside, the back end on Josh Martin's car, not quite responding as we head through the penultimate corner. A gentle ride over the small sausage curve there before we head back onto the start-finish straight. It's always a nice feat to see a driver catch a lovely little slide of the classic rear-wheel drive racing car.
Absolutely right. Talking about the sausages, do we prefer Austrian sausage or German sausage?
I can't say I've ever tried Austrian sausage, to be honest. So I'll go with German, because I just had some bratwurst actually with Alex Walker, funnily enough, at the weekend. We went to a Christmas market and we're getting rather festive. That's
right. And German beer as well, presumably.
Mulled wine, actually, straight to the mulled wine for myself. But yeah, okay. So I'll have to go with bratwurst.
Okay, fair enough. I'm not sure if the Dutch do it. I shouldn't have maybe raised that last week. We did Dutch food last week with street waffles, and we're still working for our street waffles. Anyway, getting off food and food for thought is Daniel Heaps. Is he closing in on Josh Martin here? Josh, of course, did the job of getting past and is trying to close up on Scott Bugner. Meanwhile, we go back to Eric Axelson, still only for Eric in 4th place. So Eric trying to get up into P3. I think hopes of a win pretty much gone now, so at least he can console himself with knowing that any effort he puts in the 3rd place is probably going to be as good as it gets here. He will have the advantage of starting ahead of Jack and Oliver, though, in the first of our reverse grid races. And here he comes again, looks to the outside. Is he going to carry more momentum to the inside run on the next corner? Can't again get close enough, and this is absolutely brilliant stuff from Adam Lyle. Driving a very good 3rd place is Adam Lyle, and he's going to make it, if he hangs on to this position, it's going to be the 4th event on the trot that he's bagged to podium, so he'll be pleased with that momentum. Disappointed not to be further up, but he's got to hang on to the podium first of all, so it's all about defensive racing for him at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely nice catch from Eric Axelson there over the sausage curb. They had a bit of opposite lock on. As we saw, though, heading into that ultimate corner, it's a move I've seen a couple of times now so far this evening. The outside line opens itself up as it does for Eric Axelson heading into the 2nd corner as well. Can he make the move stick? It all depends on the momentum through the exit of the corner now. It looks like Adam Lyle just about has the upper hand here. Yeah, as I was saying, the penultimate corner, the overtaking opportunity on the outside does open up, then immediately shuts itself down as that'll be far too brave. Instead, Eric's going to go for the inside now into the next braking zone again. Isn't able to respond to Adam Lyle there. This is great racing from our top 4 here. The consistency is bar none, really. Jack Smith, Oliver Gibson in the 39.9s. Adam Lyle, Eric Axelson in the low 140s as well. This is brilliant racing. They have not let up for one single second out of the 13 minutes we've enjoyed of this race so far.
Absolutely, it's been a belter, isn't it, really, so far, as we watch Andy Carroll in P5 up ahead of Scott Bugner. So Scott's got the initiative back now and beginning to close down on his teammate. So let's see whether Scott can make a move, get himself a little bit closer to P4 where he started. He's going to be disappointed, I think, with his opening stint here, the opening few laps, but he's managed to get momentum on this side, and that will carry through the rest of the meeting as well. If you look back from Carroll extends the lead as they go across the stripe, completes another lap, 1 minute 21 to go of this race, with Jack Smith now still has not really extended the lead that much over Oliver Gibson. So Oliver there, in case anything goes wrong for Jack, an extremely unlikely event of, we should say. But Adam Lyle in P3, still hanging on from Eric Axelson. Eric had, after that last attack, a little bit of oversteer, a little bit of opposite lock, which scrubbed off a bit of speed. He's trying to recover from that and close in again on Adam Lyle. I'm not sure whether he's going to have time to get under the rear spoiler of the car and then make another challenge, but stranger things have happened.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we're getting to the phase of the race now where these soft compound tyres that we are running are starting to maybe give up, drop off just a little bit now. This, of course, is going to be great learning for the feature race coming up later on in the evening, as we learn about what the soft compound tyre is capable of and what might be the ideal point at which to jump on to a different tyre there. But still, the grip levels might be slightly falling off, but the racing is still carrying on to the very end.
It is indeed. It's been an interesting race, not necessarily the most thrilling race of the campaign so far. But when you don't get overtakes, you get the joy of watching the drivers bang in some very consistent racing and some consistent laps as well. The clock is done, the checkered flag is out, and it's going to be Jack Smith who takes the win from Oliver Gibson. So P1 and P2, as they were off the grid, it's going to be Adam Lyle comes through for third place. Well done, Adam. He will join us on the podium interviews. Eric Axelson in fourth from Andy Carroll. Scott Pugner in sixth, couldn't get the better of Andy. Then we've got in seventh position goes to Josh Martin. Then Daniel Heaps in eighth place from Paul Laramie in ninth, and 10th position Chris Blakey. So Chris will be on pole position for our reverse grid race, which we look forward to. Quick run through the rest of the positions. Christian Gilliam in 11th, then it was Sam Walton in 12th place, John Jones, Thomas Potter down in 14th, just ahead of Olivia Krishnowska. Then Lee Pearcey got the better of Harry Ormerod and Alex Walker in 18th, and we'll have our podium interviews in just a couple of minutes.
Well, a fantastic bit of action to kick off the evening's racing. We certainly enjoyed it from our point of view, so let's get the point of view of the drivers on the podium after that one. Up first, we are going to have Adam Lyle. Adam Lyle with a P3 in the end. How was that race for you there, Adam?
Very hard. how I managed to keep hold of that, I do not know.
I wonder what possibly could have made it hard there, Adam, by any chance.
Just a green machine that's sat behind.
Were you expecting to be kind of up there with him as we headed into this weekend?
No, not at all. I thought I possibly could have get fourth, but especially I think it was turn one. I see Scott and Andy a bit slow on the exit, and that's got straight through the middle of them. And yeah, just managed to get some good drive down there. And
Yeah, so we're certainly feeling a little bit exhausted after that one, then, are we, by any chance?
yeah, that's to be fair, it's one of my favourite tracks as well. So it's a bit like a workout for that. I've turned my wheelbase up and everything just for this track.
I just have to take notice, actually, save on a gym membership. That'll be something to try out there. So, I should say, one of your favourite tracks then. So I take it you've got plenty of experience around here.
Yeah, well, it's mainly from iRacing. I used to race on here all of the time. Every time I see any cars driving here, just jump straight on it. So I could nearly drive the track blindfolded, I think.
Would you say that Would you say that you're confident with how the car is feeling out on this track as well?
Yeah, obviously I'm quite a lot lower ballast than these lads, so it's not too bad for me. I'm getting a bit better tyre wear than them. So yeah, I'm pretty confident in it. Hopefully we could do the same again. But normally I say that and I end up binning it.
Well, you've certainly got plenty of opportunities to try and replicate that again. We've got obviously the next sprint race coming up and then the feature race later on. Are there any lessons that you've maybe taken away from race one that you're going to be bringing forward into the next race coming up?
Just push at the start again. I think I burnt most of my tyre probably in the first half, mainly battling with Eric. And then I think his must have gone a bit, so maybe just push and go for the same again.
How were those? So you think those softs were starting to drop off perhaps towards the end of the race?
They was then, yeah. A lot more than last week anyway.
Because we've still got some lovely temperatures out there, I think, compared to what we've currently got at the moment in the UK. That's probably a part of it. But thank you very much for your time there, Adam. Congratulations on a podium as well. We'll look forward to seeing what you can do in the next race. So best luck this evening.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ray. Thanks, Adam. Well done, Adam. Good stuff. Well done. Cracking race with Eric Axelson there. But another cracking race too. Netted P2 14 champion. I didn't work out who got fastest lap. I meant to write it down from your points, but Oliver, did you get fastest lap?
Oh, I have no idea.
Say yes.
Yes, I did. No, I think it was Jack, to be fair. I think he did a 39.8. I think it's low 39.8. Yeah, I think it was Jack. So
Right, that cancels out the extra point you got from pole, doesn't it? And then obviously it's 2 points separating you. So championship-wise, not a big drop, is it? And a difficult race. He made the move very early on. Can you talk us very early on in the race? Can you talk us through that?
yeah, it's my fault. No excuses here. I messed up on the initial start. I did all right in turn one. I took the outside, managed to pull away on the straight, but then for some reason in turn 3 I thought if I go the outside again I'll be able to get another run, and I didn't expect him to brake so late and be able to stick it, to be honest. So yeah, I just misjudged that, and that was it really. I'm just happy that I was able to keep in some sort of range of him. I don't think the gap went above 1 second, I don't think. So
No, it didn't. No, you're right.
that's good. I'm happy with that. But yeah, I need to do better on the start because yeah, messed up there. But I made it to turn 3, so I'm happy with that.
That's good. That's good. Yeah, decent. As I say, decent P2. You kept him in sight in terms of being on track, and that means that he's in sight points wise as well. I'm going to ask the inevitable question. Obviously, we had the comment after qualifying. You know, don't take him out, don't take each other out. And do you get you know, as your parents, are they there or are they down the pub? Because they did intimate to me previous rounds that they sometimes go out for a drink when you guys are doing this.
They're down the pub. Yeah, so hello everyone in the pub if they can.
What's the name of the pub? We need to give them a proper shout.
It's the Hockenheim Howden. It's on the side of the car, I think.
Oh yeah, there is. You can see it. Yeah.
Yeah.
That means that they've just got free drinks.
Yeah. No, definitely.
No chance.
No, it's good in there. We like it, and yeah, they're down there now, probably having, I don't know, some sort of alcoholic beverage, I reckon.
Purely medicinal or for refreshment purposes only. And
Oh, yeah.
good luck to them. I don't know if they. So do they sit and watch it on phones or something?
Yeah. Yeah.
They might be getting raucous or noisy there anyway. Okay, so we've got race 2 coming up, and so you're going to have Adam Lyle and Eric in front of you, which is going to be a bit of a challenge because you probably didn't see it in your mirrors, but they had a super race, so you've got to deal with them in the early doors for the next one.
I think there's a glitch actually. Yeah.
And I'll just come in on here. Sorry, guys. Yeah, there's been a glitch with the server, so Sprint 2's not reverse 10. It's the finishing positions from Sprint 1.
Oh, okay. So pretty much laughing then.
Yeah. Well, we'll see if I can do a better start this time. I've got another chance. I actually wasn't looking forward to this second race if it was reverse grid or top 10 reverse because I've been in the mid, in the pack and into turn 1. It's quite I don't know if it's a bottleneck is the right term, but
right,
it's quite tight. So no doubt I'd be flying off somewhere. But yeah, I'm happy to be second. I don't know about everyone else, but more than happy to start here.
And I guess that works out well because if you start and finish at the front, decent points, and you'll be at the back.
Yeah,
or
the
back. Yeah, this is sounding like who's that comedian who goes out? I can't remember. Mickey Flanagan.
Somewhat,
yeah, the back. Yeah. So I mean, you still got loads of cars, but you're not in the middle of it all, so you can be a little bit more considered being off the totally off the back.
Yeah, it's all good. Yeah, the race 3 will be interesting, like you say, with the pit stops and tyres and stuff. I need to do better with the tyres this race as well, because towards the end I made some stupid slides, I think, during that race. So hopefully I can get the tyre wear a bit better, and hopefully better start, get past Jack. We'll see what happens, but I highly doubt it.
You're going to beat him, are you?
Yes.
That's the way. That's what you've got to say. Well done, Oliver Gibson. So pole position, second position interview, and I'm sure we'll get the top step interview a little bit later on. Well done. And we'll hand back to Reeve for our winners interview.
Thank you very much, Richard. Now a chance to chat with our race winner from race 1, Jack Smith. Congratulations. Top step of the podium there. We've just heard some definitely not forced fighting talk from your sibling there, who's definitely going to beat you. And obviously, got to ask the question after that interview is, did you get fastest lap?
I did. I've done the research. I've ran the numbers, and I have got fastest lap by 9 thousandths. Though it wasn't a lot. In it. Yeah, that was a tough one, to be fair. It was just non-stop quali laps every single lap. I know it may not look it, but there's not a lot left in the tank to find on the track. But yeah, it was really tough. I was sweating. I'd accidentally left the radiators on in the garage, so it's really warm in here at the minute. I've got the fan going. But yeah, we're gonna have to do that all again, I think. Starting at the front, which is a bit of a switch up. Yeah, we're just gonna have to see what happens.
Yeah, it certainly was very close, as you say, 9 thousandths of a second. I'm not shocked by that because it was just so close. It was fantastic racing from so many of the drivers at the top end of the field, it must be said. It certainly looked like you were putting on a great show. You say you got your rig in the garage there. Is that like a full sim rig setup that you got going on?
Yeah, well, it's more of like a summer house, really. I wouldn't really think of it as like a wooden shed. It's quite nice. There's like a little bar area and stuff. It's a nice place to be. But yeah, I've got a full aluminium sim rig, Fanatec gear and everything. So it's nice. And most of my stuff I've actually got from VRRC. So previous championships, I've won this chassis. It's got its fair use out of it now. So yeah, it's been mega. But yeah, no, most of the stuff is actually won from here. So yeah.
Yeah, fantastic stuff. That's what we like to hear. As you say as well, bar there, so you can spray the champagne and celebrate if the racing goes even better for you this evening than it already has. So, having a look at race 1, then we saw that brilliant battle. Was there anything that you knew about the track in the midst of battle, somewhere where maybe your rivals have got strengths, or maybe where you're looking like you're going to push on a little bit more heading into the next races?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Ollie was mad quick in that last sector, so I picked that up quite quickly, changed the way I entered the corner, and then, halfway through the race, I was basically matching him again. But one thing I did notice was tyre wear, and it was so much different than I expected it to be. So I've already talked to Ollie. We're sharing strategy for this one, so we've got a different strategy now. So yeah, it'll be an interesting race 3 for sure.
Okay, so yeah, interesting race 3 as well, and I take it a few lessons to pick up from race 1 heading into the next race as well. I know you're saying we're starting higher up, so maybe it's going to be a little bit less of a change than a reverse grid race, but still, how are the confidence levels now heading into that second part of the racing?
Yeah, just got to do it again. Just no mistakes. Yeah, just have to see what happens. Obviously, if Eric gets past Adam, I think he's struggling to overtake. If he gets past, then it's going to be a three-way battle for the lead for sure, I think, because I think overtaking is going to be a little bit tricky, which should be a sign of things to come for race 3. But yeah, we'll just have to get our heads down, make the best of what we got at the minute, and try and get as many points as possible.
Well, I certainly look forward to seeing that. You've got to get on the grid and ready to go for race 2, so we're going to let you get away. But congratulations once again, Jack Smith, for that race 1 victory.
Cheers, mate. Thank you.
Thanks, Reeve. Well done to Jack Smith and also Oliver Gibson and Adam Lyle, our podium interviewees. Is that going to change for race 2? We'll see in around about 15 minutes' time. We are very nearly at the stage where we are getting ready for lights out. And so a slight change of format after the glitch with the fastest off the front. So this is effectively a resumption of battle here. They'll have new tyres on, so they'll all be ready to try and make more progress or otherwise, as the lights are coming up now, and we'll see the first illumination in just a second. There it is, 3 on now, and let's see whether Jack Smith can make it a double here. He certainly seems to have got off the line well. Everybody has got off the line well, so turn 1 is always the issue. Let's see what happens as they head down into turn 1 for the first time. But Jack Smith makes a great start. Oliver Gibson coming under pressure though from Adam Lyle for P2, and Adam has got through, so not really the start here that Oliver Gibson wanted. Down into 3rd place at the moment, with Andy Carroll all over the back of him at the moment, trying to get up into P3.
Yeah, Andy darting to the inside line for the braking zone, heading up into the next corner. Going to be near enough side-by-side, front axle in line with back axle, but he does have to back out of it, does Andy Carroll. And that brings Eric Axelsen into the picture here. I think I've seen this one before, potentially. It might not be Adam Lyle just yet, but it's certainly another great on-liveried car as we head now down towards that 3rd corner. Also some fantastic battling going on in the mid-pack there. Paul Laramie and Chris Blakey having a bit of fun as we head into the next braking zone. A clean getaway for everyone though, which is what we like to see.
It was a clean getaway, but there were some surprises. They're not a surprise that Jack Smith got away. And also, I suppose I can't be too shocked that Adam Lyle gets up into P2. It's a great move. The surprise was Oliver Gibson effectively going backwards there. I'd be interested to find out what the issues, if any, were. Andy Carroll is in 4th place, then Eric Axelsen down in 5th. So Eric really struggling at the moment. Just watch Eric's car from the rear-facing view from Andy Carroll. We'll see how this is going to pan out. So battle resuming for Eric Axelsen, and he is here in 5th position, will equate to 9 points. Jack Smith will be on for another 16, and that's a big drop in the championship. Obviously it's the events that get dropped, the worst event that gets dropped, rather than the worst race or 3 worst races, as Eric now makes the move, and that was a confidently set up and executed move. But Andy Carroll still in with the shout here at the moment, and will continue to go side by side with the Swede as they sweep downhill. Let's see whether Eric is going to be able to hang on to it. The pass we saw him make earlier on, he wasn't able to hold on to, and Andy's got the inside for the first corner we're looking at. Now comes into the right-hander as they climb uphill, and Eric Axelsen holds on to the position. He's got the inside run for the next couple of corners as well. Andy Carroll's trying to get momentum and tee up and get the move back on Eric. Meanwhile, we've got the scrap on for 3rd place, and some terrific racing going on as Oliver Gibson gets back up into 2nd position. But for how long here, Reeve?
Yeah, who knows? There's so many opportunities that just fall thick and fast here at the Red Bull Ring. So I love it so much. It flows so beautifully, and an overtaking move that can start at the last corner of a previous lap can carry on all the way to turn 3 into the next lap, as we saw with Eric Axelsen. We are seeing here now to run through turn 6, turn 7, and turn 8 it is. It's going to be Oliver Gibson backing out ever so slightly from Adam Lyle. He's going to have a look at that outside line once again. We haven't seen it work just yet, Can it work this time around? He cuts back into the inside here. That might give him a good bit of momentum. And in fact, he's set up rather nicely for that final corner now. As we see, it's going to be Adam Lyle jumping back onto the start-finish straight, just about in front, but certainly very much under pressure now.
Yeah, carry on battling, lads. Let's bring Eric into it as well. That'll make it interesting. A three-way battle between these guys. But Eric down in P4, so again, just shy of the podium at the moment. So we're all for a repeat of our podium interviews, maybe a slightly different order. But Jack Smith is now 4 seconds down the road. And as you heard in the interviews, Oliver saying that he kept to within a second. Oliver, meanwhile, has got his own thing to do and tees up the inside there. He's on the outside for the next corner. They'll run side by side. Adam Lyle giving him room. Adam not driving blindfolded, as suggested he might be able to do. Oh, great stuff. And P2 is annexed by Oliver Gibson. We'll see whether Adam Lyle can get back in. So Adam, rather than defending from Eric Axelson, as he did pretty much race long in race number 1, is now going to have the attack, makes the move down the inside and gets second position back. There's a little nudge from Oliver Gibson as he goes past, nothing malicious in that. And this is what I wanted, because my wish is coming true. And Eric Axelson is starting to close in on them. Could be a three-way battle for second position very shortly.
This was brilliant stuff there from Adam Lyle and Oliver Gibson. Oliver Gibson with that less than traditional overtaking method all the way through the second proper corner on the circuit. And then we see Adam Lyle there with that late braking move. It was so late, I thought that potentially it was actually a missed braking zone and there was a bit of a lock up there. I think the car was still quite unhappy, but he did just about make it work there. So true bravery in the cockpit of that car as we head through the front of the corner once again. As you say, Eric Axelson now very much in the mix here as we run on to the start-finish straight. Uses much of the track and then some as we head now down towards the first corner. I say down, up towards the first corner here at the Red Bull Ring. Oliver Gibson having a look at that inside line, thinks better of it, is just going to play his cards close to his chest for now, because he's, I'm sure, very much aware that there's an Eric Axelson right behind him trying to hunt him down.
Now there was space, wasn't there, between second and third and then fourth position, but because second and third have engaged, that's enabled Eric to catch up with his own speed, of course, that we've got independently with his own skill. As the door is open again, and Oliver Gibson's going to try and sling the car down the inside, which he does, but he's not going to get the fastest of exits, and this is going to bring the chasing car of Eric Axelson into the mix as well. Down behind there we've got Chris Blakey and Scott Bugner. Scott's now lost out to Chris Blakey in this one, but he's in P6, so still running strongly. Now what Adam Lyle would probably like here is for Eric Axelson to get stuck in to dicing with Oliver Gibson. He's not going to do it. Lost a little bit of ground there, did Eric. That's a strange thing to see. Eric won't want to sit back and see how this resolves. If anything, he'd like to be up with them and maybe follow through if Oliver Gibson can make it through. So Eric needs to be right up with him to try and follow him through now, but it is now back into P2 for Oliver Gibson. The one thing we know though is that Adam Lyle will be able to fight back. Now, is Adam going to go into fight mode to get it back, or is he going to be defending? Let's have a look. We're right on board with him. Comes out of the toe and looks down the inside. This is a fight back from Lyle. He's got P2 back again. Fantastic stuff. And Eric Axelson keeping a watching brief at the moment. And Eric might be looking in his mirrors at Chris Blakey and Scott Butler closing up too.
Oliver really pushing on there to try and claw back a bit of ground. What a fantastic move, though, from Adam Lyle. A very untraditional overtaking spot on this circuit, it must be said. But here comes Eric Axelson, side by side with Oliver Gibson. Has the inside line here, but I think Oliver's just going to try and hang it around the outside there. True bravery, knows exactly how wide his car is. Some fantastic racecraft going on here. Some real sportsmanship as well. They are being completely fair, but also fantastic action between these three drivers. Eric Axelson now is going to get as close as he dares really into the braking zone for the next corner. As we see them all-important exit out of this corner once again, who's going to come out on top? I think momentum is pretty even between these three drivers, but behind them are the two drivers with their headlights on full beam here. That is going to be Scott Bugner and Chris Blakey. They've managed to close up the gap pretty substantially, something we didn't see that much of in race one. They've certainly closed up here and are now going to be in the mix for this podium.
They are. This is an absolute dream race that we are seeing so far. Part of me said, I didn't really want fastest off the front. I was looking forward to the reverse. We needn't have been concerned at all because they've delivered a fascinating opening to this second sprint race of it. What should have been first grid race, but it wasn't. As we look at Adam Lyle still running well here in P2, Oliver Gibson still giving chase too. Then Eric Axelsen in fourth, the green and black car, the third of the ones that we're looking at. And Eric will be looking over his shoulder. Scott Bugner coming into the mix as well, right on board with Oliver Gibson, who wants to get P2 back. One feels now that, oh no, is that tyres going green?
Potentially, I was getting ready, I was briefing myself to start having a quick tyre chat at some point. Lost a lot of momentum there, does Adam Lyle, as now we see Oliver Gibson is able to pretty much swoop on past there. As you say, the tyres are probably at a point now where they're starting to give up. The drivers are in this awkward position where they know the medium tyre is so much slower, so they have to stay on the softs there. That is a big off for Chris Blakey by the looks of things. Loses the back end out of that first corner, is able to catch it, so good work there, sir. But that is not at all how we wanted this race to go, I am sure.
Scott Bugner's lost his wingman here, hasn't he, for this part of it, as Oliver Gibson looks around the outside run again. Eric Axelsen is there, and Scott Bugner right on the back of this trio. So, well, it's a quartet now. Not quite 2 by 2. We've got 2 out front and still side by side. I was beginning to ask myself whether it was going to be a question of timing in this race, who wants to be in front at a given point, because that's what they've done. They've traded that second position over the course of the race, and now Eric Axelsen's had an issue, whether that's tyre related or not, but he manages to regroup it ahead of Scott Bugner, and Scott putting the pressure on. They've actually become 2 pairs now rather than a quartet.
Yeah, that is very much the case there. Adam Lyle is being really pressured now by Oliver Gibson. As you say, that timing is going to be so crucial. I think as part of the timing is going to be the tyres. Again, it's who's pushed on with their tyres, who has used their tyre life at which point in the race. And whoever's got the better tyres at the end of the race could very well be within a shout of a good finish here. As we see Oliver Gibson side by side with Adam Lyle, that gives Adam the inside for the final corner on the lap. Oliver has to back out of it ever so slightly, but might have got a decent run here through that final corner. Watching backwards as well, Scott Bugner and Eric Axelsen forming pretty much the same moves. They dart across the circuit there. Oliver Gibson goes for the outside, gains some momentum, goes later on the brakes, but they're going to be very close indeed as we run through that first corner over the sausage curve for Oliver Gibson. That forces him to back out of it, but I'm sure we're going to get plenty more opportunities to race on there. That looks to be, is that Chris? Yeah, it's Chris Blakey, who obviously had the issue at this point of the circuit a lap ago, is still in the mix here, which is good to see. Scott Bugner as well, those two with their headlights on. Owners of this era BMW will know that even with the headlights on, you can't really see a thing, so they're not going to make much of a difference. But Adam Lyle still under pressure from Oliver Gibson as we run into the third corner on the lap.
Adam said on the interview, didn't he, about how much he loves the track, and it's evident from the repassing and passing that he's executed here with Oliver Gibson. Oliver's been no slouch in this either, but really wonderful stuff to see from Adam Lyle. And, you know, they might be 11 seconds down. They're not 11 seconds slower than Jack Smith out front. Jack's driving an absolute blinder. Has got the fastest lap as well. She needs to keep her eye on, again, for championship points. So potentially Jack on for another maximum 17 here. As Oliver continues to chase Adam Lyle for P2. Eric Axelsen's through the mix as well. Then Scott Bugner, Chris Blakey, as you said, in 6th position. Daniel Heaps has been there or thereabouts in both races so far. Daniel could mark himself out for a podium finish, if not, perhaps, a win in the feature race. If you can get the strategy right and the internet's reliable, I would not discount Daniel Heaps from being a winner, and it will be a first win with VRRC if he can do that. But that is all to come, and we've got more to come, I think, here from this P2 battle.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been brewing on there. I should add, in all of this fantastic action we've had, Jack Smith has had a very comfortable race out in front. He's built up a lovely gap in the lead there of about 11 seconds. So he's having a great day out here in race 2. We know he had confidence after his interview after race 1, but I'm sure this is only going to help him as we head into that feature race. He's going to need that help as well with the reverse grid order, as we see Adam Lyle under quite a lot of pressure there from Oliver Gibson as we head into the second corner. It was Oliver who had a look around the outside. Eric Anderson also having a look around the outside there, because he's pretty much one-on-one with Oliver Gibson in terms of track position at this moment in time. They're going to be side by side, and once again we're going to see a tandem battle behind the car of Adam Lyle now as we head into the downhill right-hander.
Look at Eric Axelsen working the outside run here. Superb stuff from Eric to get himself. And remember, this is up into 3rd place. This is potentially our first podium interview for a couple of weeks with Eric. We didn't speak to him at Zandvoort because he wasn't racing last weekend. And prior to that, it was race 1 at the Norisring, because you remember grabbed pole position at the Norisring and took lights out to flag victory there. And he's going for P2, not content with third place. So Adam now's got a different sparring partner, so whether we'll get different tactics here remains to be seen. Meanwhile, we've got Oliver Gibson with Scotland all over the back of him. Oliver trying to come back at Eric Axelsson for P3. He's teeing up the inside here, gets a very good run out of the corner, and down across the line they go. He's got the inside run into turn one, and Scott Bugner is doing what I thought Eric Axelsson was going to do earlier on, and shadowing him here and trying to follow through on the inside. That was very well read from Scott Bugner, but there's contact between the two. They both survive it, but you could see the thought process there from Scott. Maybe Eric knew it wasn't possible earlier on. Scott was going to have a go though, but has to stay in 5th place for the moment.
Yeah, well, that would have been a fantastic move if it had stuck then. Eric Axelsson, my hat is doffed to as well there, sir, for that catch through the final corner. It's now going to be Scott Bugner trying to get another move done on Eric Axelsson here. Has to back out of it. A good run through the corner for Eric Axelsson. And now we see Oliver Gibson and Adam Lyle side by side once again. I think it's not a case of trying to fight for P2 here, Richard. I think it's a case of trying to fight for survival, because if you don't try to go for P2, you'll be in P6 before you know it.
Absolutely right, and this is what classic racing is very much all about. So it's Oliver Gibson back in P2, racing today so far without a doubt. And well, who needs reverse grid racing? It just goes to prove that you don't. It is an added bonus when we get a great reverse grid and we get a champion making his or her way through the grid to see. But it's a bit of a shame there for Adam Lyle. Drops back. Scotland is going to get past him as well as we head still focusing rather on this battle, and Scott Bugner's made great progress here. Meanwhile, it's the checkered flag for Jack Smith. Congratulations to him, and it's going to be the brothers, I think, on the top 2 steps of the podium. So another knockout for them here as Eric Axelsson runs wide. And are we going to see Scott Bugner come through for the podium? We do. Scott Bugner, I think, has maybe just gone through and got the podium. Coming out of the last corner, Eric Axelsson is denied a podium interview on the last corner. Reeve, I didn't see that coming.
Absolutely not. What a fantastic battle at the very end of the race there. Scott Bugner with a brilliant run, saw a gap, saw an opportunity, and I think just went, I'm going for it, and it worked out for him there. Jack Smith, let's not forget, a fantastic effort there to finish 13 seconds clear of the rest of the pack. In fact, the two siblings, of course, are 1-2 there. That is going to be, I'm sure they're going to be very pleased with that one. Scott Bugner, as we say, rounding out the podium there with an unexpected 3rd place.
Absolutely superb. So let's run down. It was Jack Smith, Oliver Gibson, Scott Bugner and Eric Axelsson, 4th from Adam Lyle, Chris Blakey next from Daniel Heaps and Andy Carroll, then Lee Pearcey. Paul Laramie wraps up the top 10. Christian Gilliam in 11th place from Josh Martin. Livia Krzyżanowska next up from Harry Ormerod. Then it was Thomas Potter, Alex Walker, Sam Walton and John Jones. We'll hear from the top 3 in just a couple of moments. So our second podium of the day, and if you thought it was going to be boring, not being a reverse grid race, then you have to think again. Let's start off though with something unexpected on that last corner, and what a great drive from Scott Bugner. Scott, welcome back to VRRC. You've had far too much time off from racing, so consider yourself told off for that. But welcome back, and well done on a very, 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 very good drive indeed. How are you?
Hello, yeah, not too bad, thank you. Just work commitments, mate.
No, we
Last
appreciate
week
that.
I was just about to get on, and then I had an abscess on my tooth, and I was
Oh
in so much
no.
pain, and I was like, nah, I can't. So as soon as I banged them antibiotics, I'm falling asleep at the wheel. So I was like, nah, I better not. So no, much better now, and yeah, didn't get a lot of practice in this last couple of days, but yeah, it was a good race. I enjoyed that one.
Yeah, I mean, talk us through that last few corners.
I felt a bit bad because I hit the back of Eric about 4 laps to go, and I was like, no. So I backed off and let him back through again because I felt really bad. And then just Adam was putting up a great defence. And then the next minute, I'm following Eric past Adam, and then I just see Eric kindly open the door for me at the last corner, and I was like, oh, thank you very much. I'll have that one.
It was a fascinating race in the way that all races should be when you get battlers. It allows folk that are putting together good runs, as you were, to close up. And it just kind of speeds up the engagement, doesn't it, with the cars in front, which is what happened with yourself. And I think Chris Blakey as well at some point was in and around you, wasn't he?
Yeah, I think I'm just, I don't know, Rich isn't going to like this, but I think I'm being too nice at the first corner. I think I need to get a bit more aggressive. I'm just backing out of it too much, and then I'm losing like 2 or 3 positions, and then I'm losing a lot of time. So maybe for the next sprint for next week, maybe be a bit more aggressive. I don't know.
It's the last round, isn't it? So everyone gets very forgiving over Christmas. So I'm sure whatever happens next week will be forgiven after the New Year break.
Absolutely, yeah. I hope Rich is listening. Yeah, absolutely. It's been a really good championship. I really enjoyed it. I didn't think I'd be where I am at the minute with the wins we've had and the podiums we've had, because rear-wheel drive, obviously I've said before, I'm really not a big fan of, but I've kind of got to grips with the car, and if I could have just done a bit more practice, then who knows, but I've really enjoyed it, and the racing's been absolutely proper, so yeah, really good.
You've been proper as well. Are you excited about the World Touring Car Championship for January, February?
Yeah, absolutely. It's I made it very clear to my boss this morning. I said, look, Wednesday nights after Christmas, that's it. There's no working late on a Wednesday night. And he said, all right, I'll see what I can do. So he's helping me where he can, but it's just part of the job. But yeah, no, I'm really looking forward to it.
That's good. Well done, Scott. Really great to have you back. And I'm joshing about time off, mate. It's whenever we get to see you, it's great, and even better when you get a podium. So congratulations, well done. Thanks for chatting to us.
Thank you very much. Take care.
You too. And let's head over to Remy for our second place interview.
Thank you very much, Richard. And we get to chat once again with Oliver Gibson. And usually that is a brilliant sign, because it means it's another podium in the bag within the race weekend. And despite your fantastic effort, well done on P2. I'm sure you must be feeling a little bit of disappointment, actually, Oliver, after that race.
Oh, I am, absolutely. I mean, that start is horrendous. I don't know what I did. Well, I do know what I did, sorry. Left the clutch on too long. So, yeah, I just didn't get any power. I was just revving it to oblivion. So, yeah, and then there was a lot of work from there. Adam put up a blinding defence, because literally I must have tried every way to get past him, and it took a mistake from him to get past. So that's a big credit to him and his defensive skills. So yeah, it was a bit of a sweaty one, but luckily I'm starting ahead of Jack for this one, so fingers crossed I can do a better start and just make my way through and finish ahead.
Yeah, certainly. Of course, I say disappointment. I do mean in terms of results. In terms of the actual race itself, that was brilliant stuff. We thoroughly enjoyed watching it, and I'm sure you enjoyed it as well. Was there any highlights in particular that you saw? This is going to be a fantastic battle here. We saw just how close everyone was getting.
I think it's when Scott caught up as well, when it was 3 of us, and it was like, I don't know, not 3 of us, was it 4 of us in the end, wasn't it? So
probably 5, if not more, at one point. It was honestly brilliant.
That's good. I wish I wasn't racing like that, but I wish I was just like Jack. What was it, 13 seconds up the road? So I don't know, but yeah, that was definitely the moment where I was like, this can either be the best race I've had all series, or massive crash. And I think there was a couple moments, especially on that last lap, where I was like, I'm going to go around it, I'm going to get tapped around, and it's going to be all over. But it's a credit to those guys, and credit to the grid, really, just how good they are at racing, and how close we are as well. I mean, that's the other thing. So yeah, I did really enjoy that. Obviously I'd prefer to win, but the start didn't quite help. But hopefully a bit more of that, and maybe that one step further onto the top step for this one.
Yeah, it's very much within reach, as you say. Everyone was so close in that field. We also saw a little bit of the pace starting to drop off for a few drivers at the very end there. Do you think everyone was pushing on so much that the tyres perhaps dropped off just that little bit earlier in that race?
Yeah, probably. It was quite aggressive battling, to be fair, so I would expect the tyres to have dropped off. But in this one, I mean, in the last one, to be fair, in race one, my tyres at the end were a bit short, and I was just driving behind Jack that whole time. So I do think the softs aren't amazing, but I think they're better than the mediums. So yeah, I mean, obviously the racing didn't help, which for this race as well, it's going to be a bit of an interesting one. Start at the back, trying to make our way through. So I'm just going to try and look after the tyres and yeah, make as many places as I can before the pit stops, and then see where we are after that.
Yeah, absolutely. I could talk all day about race 2. It was so much fun, but we do look on to race 3, our feature race coming up in just a moment. Now, as you say, we've got that reverse order coming in now, so you're going to be in a different position to your sibling here, who we've got on screen at the moment, Jack Smith there. But how are you looking forward to that? Are you perhaps a little bit apprehensive now that things are a little bit different heading into this race?
I don't know. To be honest, I don't really know till I'm braking for turn 1. And last week we worked together quite well until obviously the pit stops, and then he made a gap in the pit stop, so I went a bit too long on the tyres. So and obviously the championship's heating up. He has obviously got more points than me, so I do need to claw some back before the last round. So we'll see what happens. I think there's probably a possibility that we work together in this first half. I'm going to try and copy him, but that's an issue if I'm in front. So yeah, I don't know. I'm just gonna. He has told me actually, to be fair, what time to pit. So it's nice of him. So I'll probably pit then, unless he's bluffing. I don't know. But I don't think he'll do that.
Oh, that'll be cruel tactics there. But whatever tactics, whatever strategies you end up deploying in the upcoming race, I'm sure we're going to enjoy watching it. Congratulations once again on race 2. It was brilliant stuff. So that's our P2 man, Oliver Gibson. Thank you very much.
Cheers.
Well done, Oliver. Thanks, Reeve, as well. And no doubt the celebrations will be continuing at the Hockenheim in Howden for our race winner. 2 out of 2, so a double over the last 2 events. Jack Smith, that looked pretty easy. Got past this lap as well. So far an extra 5 points over brother at the moment in this round.
Yeah, that's, to be honest, I was spectating that race as much as you guys were. I was looking down at real time the entire time, just watching the positions switch back and forth, and yeah, I was just trying to do quality lap after quality lap after quality lap. So yeah, it was just one of them, get your head down, and I was quite lucky, got a really good start. I saw Ollie dip back. I'd sort of, collectively with everyone, just sort of went, oh no. Just because I knew how much of a pain it was going to be to overtake, and yeah, I thought he was going to get by maybe on the second lap, but it didn't happen, and I was like, yeah, he's going to be stuck there now. So yeah, and I'm sure there's going to be more of that for me this race, especially with it being a full reverse grid. So yeah, it's going to come down a lot to strategy, I think, for this one.
And that's what you were selling your services for, strategy, earlier on. So this is, if you're in the shop window for a job at the moment, is your strategy going to work? Are you going to get a hat trick?
That's the aim. Yeah, I gave Ollie what I think. I think he's smart enough to know that you can go plus or minus that. But yeah, so I'm gonna play it, see how the race goes. I may pit early, may pit late. I don't know. We'll see what happens. But if we're behind Trevor, there's no point staying out. So I'm gonna switch to softs as soon as it's viable. The soft is just such, it lasts much longer than we thought, much longer than the previous round especially. So yeah, it's gonna be interesting. I have no idea what everyone else is doing, but I sure know what we're doing. So yeah, we're just gonna have to stick to it, see what happens.
We were talking about mindset earlier on, Jack, and I was going to ask you in terms of when you're working out the strategy for this race. I mean, is it just something that goes through your head quite quickly, or do you sit down and do any analysis? How does the thought process go?
So I just sort of do a base. It's like a base strategy to get a vague idea of what the race is going to be. But like the the racing's dynamic, so like anything can happen. You could have you could spin out. That messes your strategy up big time. I don't even think an F1 team would know what to do. They say they've got all these computers, but I really doubt they know what they're doing when it comes to that sort of thing. I mean, you look back to where in Germany, Hockenheim, where Mercedes had that absolutely monumental mess up with the pit stops and Hamilton going into the wall. You cannot tell me they had a computer doing all that. So it's just one of those things you have to think off the top of your head. Most of the time, I've sort of made this spreadsheet to get my head in the game as to a rough idea of when I'm going to pit if everything works perfectly. But yeah, it's all a mental thing. You just have to go with gut feeling most of the time, and yeah, that's just what it's about with race engineering. So
yeah, you said the magic word spreadsheet there, and commentators like them for stats as much as anything else.
Yeah.
Andy McEwen is one of the greatest Excel people going. Watching him commentate, he's got the information at his fingertips. I'm pen and paper man personally, but I do keep a lot of stuff on Excel. But that's fascinating to hear that. We're getting the options coming up on screen now, and I think as in the previous rounds, we can see the guys that have got the starting at the front, maybe working out they can get those quicker laps in on the softs and maybe build up a lead. So we're seeing some strategy from Thomas Potter and John Jones. It'll be interesting to see how they go. Jack, well done again. Lovely to chat. Good luck for the race, and maybe speak to you on the podium a little bit later on.
Cheers, mate. Thank you.
So Jack Smith takes that time to look at the grid for our final race of the day, which sees Thomas Potter and John Jones on the front row of the grid. And again, either of those drivers capable of wins or podiums. Livia Krishnovska has been working towards that as well. She lines up third. Then it's the orange Jägermeister livery of Harry Ormerod, Sam Walton and Alex Walker on the third row. Seventh on the grid, Christian Gillian, followed by Lee Pearcey. Then Josh Martin in ninth. Paul Laramie wrapping up our top 10 from Daniel Heaps and Chris Blakey. Andy Carroll and Scott Bugler next up from Adam Lyle and Stuart Vickers. Eric Axelson, followed by our top 2 point scorers on the day so far, Eric Axelson and Oliver Gibson. So that's how we go. Very nearly ready for the start. And just as we say that, the lights are illuminated and it is race underway. Thomas Potter with his soft tyres on makes a cracking start. So Thomas Potter, the race leader, John Jones dropping back just a little bit, so we've got an early sort out, and this is the reverse bit, bumping and barging going on there, and we've got a casualty right in the mix. Sam Walton sadly is facing the wrong way on the grass, but Thomas Potter came through that. I've got to be honest, it's the first little bit of first corner bunching or otherwise that we've had for a couple of rounds there, Reeve.
Yeah, absolutely. Sometimes it is just the way, unfortunately, with reverse grid racing, of course, as well. There's a bit of a pinch point here through a couple of the corners at the Red Bull Ring. As there's another brief bit of contact there, and it was the slightest bit of low-speed contact that sends Sam Jones pointing in the wrong direction and tumbling down the order there. A terrible shame. It's Olivia up into P2 now, Alex Walker up into P3, pressure from Lee Pearcey and Josh Martin building up on him. Let's see how he manages that. But yeah, as I say, there's a couple of pinch points here at this circuit where the track narrows ever so slightly. It can catch drivers out. Just the unfortunate way of racing sometimes.
Good start from Thomas Potter. Livia Krishnovska comes through into P2. He's got a little bit of breathing space over Alex Walker. Lee Pearcey fourth, Josh Martin looking strong here in fifth. Josh could be on for podium stroke win here. Let's have a quick look and see how the big points hitters are getting on. Oliver Gibson is in 13th. Jack Smith currently in 15th. Made that 14th position because things changing around. Immediately ahead of them, Eric Axelson and Scott Bugler, who really sounds like he's gaining more and more confidence on this track and in this car as the racing continues. Daniel Heaps side by side with Adam Lyle, and Adam makes the move through. He's really been on fire for this round as Adam Lyle. Didn't quite get the result. Maybe he deserved in that one. I suppose that ultimately you have to say everyone finishes where they deserve to finish, but Adam could have had a better result. Just parts of the race didn't come down for him, and he gets tagged there by Paul Laramie down into the corner. And I was hoping Adam was going to come through, but that's going to be not game over for him, but probably game over in terms of a potential podium. Hard lines for him.
Yeah, absolutely. Unfortunately, we're seeing a bit of that sprint racing mentality coming through here in the feature race. I suspect usually you take things a little bit more conservatively at the very start of the race, build into it, set up a plan in your head, and then see how the race unfolds, especially through the pit stops there. There's an indicator on that looks to be Josh Martin's car. Now, that's an unexpected sight for an old BMW, but we've got it nonetheless.
Yeah, just got what you said there. Absolutely right. I think
Except
some of
I
the,
drive a BMW myself, I'm allowed to say. It's fine.
I think you guys sometimes get an unfair rap, but it's very easy for us, particularly commentators, to jump on the bandwagon and go for a cheap shot, you know.
Absolutely, yeah.
Olivia Krasnowska's doing a super job again, building her confidence as she does as she did last week in the reverse grid race, and holding a very good P2 for these opening laps. And of course, once she's done that for a couple of laps over a period of races, you'll find that spell at the front will get longer. So she'll get into the frame of mind where she'll be on for podium finishes in reverse grid races and getting quicker at the same time, and coming through and developing her racecraft and skills here on the sim, which is going to stand her in very good stead for her short oval racing as well. And she's defending at the moment from Alex Walker in P2. So let's have a look and see whether Alex can go through. Comes offline, he's got the blue mirrors on the white and green car, goes very neatly through on the inside. Olivia read that well too, and he's coming back. I don't think there was contact between the two. Alex just lost out, I think, coming out of the corner.
Yeah, pushing on a little bit too much there. The back end became unbalanced, and it was a good catch, it must be said, to go over the sausage curb like that and still correct it. That is certainly not easy, but unfortunately losing some momentum there is potentially going to be under pressure now from Lee Pearcey and Andy Carroll, as we see. It's going to be, instead here, it's going to be Olivia. Oh, tagged there as well. Great shame for Olivia. She was having a great start to this race. Unfortunately, not going to quite work out that way. We see that Jack Smith and Oliver Gibson there have to take avoiding action going off the track. They do continue on in the background, though. This is making things just a little bit easier for Thomas Bossert and Josh Martin out in front.
I'm very glad that I didn't say there were very few judicials last time out, because that would have been the curse of the commentator, wouldn't it, for Rich Hayden and Steven Spielberg here in Spielberg, who's got the work to do. And he's going to, I think, whether this is the Scott Brooker prediction of we should all be a little bit more robust, and I know there are people who don't like the word robust, but and Scott was only joking, by the way, when he said that. But I think that take it serious in terms of dishing out contact or otherwise. He's not going to do that. Drivers don't do it. It's totally not meant when there is contact on track, particularly with the great community that we've got with the VRRC. Oliver Gibson up into P7. We need to start thinking about pit stops. Well, a great shame for Olivia Krasnowska, because not only she's lost the position, but she's lost that extra bit of experience of racing and defending and so on. But she's still there. She's in 15th place. Hopefully we'll grab another good finish for us.
Yeah, absolutely. As we see now, Oliver Gibson is pushing on rather nicely in this race. That we know their strategy was to just pick up places wherever they can, and doing a great job of that so far. So a little bit of chaos and calamity perhaps in the mix there, but still nonetheless they've been there, kept the nose clean and put the work into, work their way up now into P6, sorry, in the case of Oliver, make that P5 in fact, as we head now down towards the third corner.
Cracking racing as ever, and it's going to be fascinating once we get into the pit stop windows. I'm going to have to reboot my PC because my timing screen disappeared for a moment. My laptop, nothing to do with the broadcast, I hasten to add. Oliver Gibson, yeah, rocket ship progress, isn't it? Up into P5, and Alex Walker is the next target. Alex's best result so far this campaign, 8th position, race 2 at the Lausitzring. And again, another driver that's holding up very well in these early stages. Thomas Potter delivering what we know he can deliver. I'll tell you what, Thomas here, the thing I've overlooked really is the fact that Thomas was telling us that he's really struggling with his starts. There was no issue at all with his start from this one, was there?
No, absolutely. A few drivers have said this car isn't, it's perhaps maybe not as bad as the Cupra, but it's certainly no easy car to get off the line. None of these modern kind of assistance systems on board the car, just a big old 3.2 litre straight 6 lump to try and work. Not much torque either, actually, so it's really not the easiest to get off the line. But Thomas Potter had a great start and is still pushing on very well indeed. All these crew in the mid pack here are battling in the 141 sort of lap time, but Thomas Potter's out there in front, setting 140.6, so just building that gap nicely. He needs to probably think about keeping those times as consistent as he can, maybe pushing the tyres to go a little bit further if possible, setting himself up nicely for the pit stop we're going to have later on in this race. He could be in a very good position indeed.
He could be. I wonder if it's going to be a fluid strategy for him, and when he'll just take the tyres as long as he can. He'll know when they start to go off. He'll get a couple of warning signs, and once that's come through 2 or 3 times, he might pit. He might have it in his head from testing that he's already done when he's going to come in and how long they're going to last for. But at the moment, a very, very good lead from Thomas Potter. Josh Martin in P2. And Oliver Gibson now goes past Alex Walker up into 4th position. But keep your eyes on Scott Budner. He's there as well. You can see the orange back, silver front of Scott Budner's car. Like displays he tries to do with Alex Walker. And he wants to try and keep Oliver Gibson in sight here. He knows that he was up with that group in race 2. And in race 3 wants to do the same. He's got Jack Smith down behind him. And Scott just getting a little bit, I think, frustrated at the moment that he couldn't make most of the opportunity to get past and follow Oliver Gibson. But fair play here to Alex Walker, who's defending well and defending cleanly from Scott. But he's got a little bit more pace. Closes up now. We've got another one of these fascinating battles that reverse grid racing gives us.
Yeah, absolutely. We're seeing Scott pushing the car as much as possible and being punished for it as well. It's a good thing about a classic racing circuit. This is gravel. There's actually gravel outside the track limits. Punishes the driver. It's fantastic, novel stuff. Could use it more often. And we're seeing Alex Walker, as you say, putting on a great defence here, keeping in check with Oliver Gibson on that lap, only about a 10th or so off the pace of Oliver Gibson out in front, probably aided by being pushed along by both Scott Buckner and Jack Smith there. So this is a fantastic bit of experience building up for Alex Walker here in this race. Haven't quite mentioned it yet. I mentioned it in my previous comms outing for the M3 Cup, but the joint livery of Jack Smith and Oliver Gibson looks utterly brilliant. I love the combined livery there. As we see a bit of back end stepping out for Chris Blakey. That brings him right back towards Adam Lyle, Daniel Heaps as well. So we've got another pack battle forming up elsewhere in the field.
Lowell come back well, hasn't he, after his moment earlier on, and he's going to do 2 passes here, or is he on another incident? He makes it past Blakey, fine, he's going to nip past Daniel Heaps as well. So this is great stuff from Adam Lyle. He's got back into 8th place. Really cracking stuff, and is showing his liking for this track. What a great recovery from Adam Lyle, and I wouldn't put another podium past him, but he's got some serious work to do to get on terms with the likes of Scott Buckner. Thomas Potter out front, of course, Josh Martin, Andy Carroll, Oliver Gibson, Jack Smith. It's going to be a big ask to see whether that 17 car and Adam Lyle can get back up onto the podium. But Daniel Heaps, if he goes with him, he's right with him at the moment, not giving up either. Again, post pit stops, depending on strategy, we're in for another mouth-watering finish.
Yeah, absolutely. As Daniel Heaps there, the back end steps out on his car through the final corner. The rear axle not quite having the grip that he is asking from it, as we see him sliding back, tumbling down the order ever so slightly, losing 2 positions with the additional M colours adorning his car. Actually still fighting for it though, as we see him side by side, but with Eric Axelsen heading through that first corner. Adam Lyle then currently running in P6, has some pressure in the form of Chris Blakey from behind. We saw Chris Blakey having a bit of a, not going to say a disastrous race in race 2, but a race to forget really, with that unfortunate incident earlier on around this part of the lap actually. So it's good to see he's having probably a better time of things out here, enjoying some running against Adam Lyle, as we see Eric Axelsen and Daniel Heaps following in quick succession. So many pack battles forming on throughout the field here. It's great stuff.
It is great stuff, and we're still not into pit stop window. Well, we're into the window, but we're not into anybody actually executing those at the moment. We've got, it looks like Harry Allbrod's done his. He's on the soft tyre now, unless that's a glitchy one. So Harry might have been the first one. I thought, oh well, to heck with it, we'll just get in there, get the tyres changed, and then get on with the rest of the race, which could be an issue. Lyle now will be looking forward to try and close down on Scott Buckner, who's in front. So there is Scott, still not able to get past Alex Walker. Alex is on the soft tyre, and of course Oliver Gibson and Scott Buckner on the medium tyre, which I'll be looking to chop over. Andy Carroll, by the way, is the top runner at the moment on mediums.
As we see Scott Buckner diving into the pits there, very late decision to do it, a la Lewis Hamilton here a couple of seasons ago. Scott Buckner jumps into the pits, as does Oliver Gibson by the looks of things. Here we go then. It's time for some strategy talk. Break out your spreadsheets, break out your anoraks. Let's talk about tyres. So, jumping onto the medium tyres then, we do have Scott Buckner and Oliver Gibson. A few cars now opting to go onto that medium tyre. Actually, I think a few drivers going perhaps a little bit later than I would have expected. The soft we saw was not quite making the 15 minutes earlier on in the sprint races, but at the same time we know that the medium tyre is not favoured by these drivers out here, so let's see how it all plays out.
And how is this going to play out? We've got Eric Axelsen. First time we've had a proper look at Eric in our feature race here at Red Bull Ring. And Eric busy challenging Daniel Heaps here. It's Chris Blakey ahead of them. Chris in 4th place, so this is the battle for 5th position as we look at it. And Eric, you'll never see, or very, very rarely see a rash move from Eric. Just likes to try and pick the drivers off one by one and calmly do it and sensibly do it, but do it well. And you can see he's employing that tactic here. He knows that Daniel Heaps has got a car that is perhaps almost as good as his own. Daniel with not quite as much experience on VRRC as Eric, in fact quite a way behind in terms of club experience, but giving him a good workout. But the Dean Martin car is going to make its way through and past Daniel Heaps, who doesn't want to give up. This is great racing again from the pair of them, and Daniel Heaps will try and hold on to position with Eric Axelsen side by side with him. Eric might be thinking about stopping now as well, because what you don't want to do, or what you could do, is take the tyre stop to negate the battle and negate the slowing up that the battle gives you. So Eric doesn't come in. They're going to stay out for at least another lap, and there's potentially another lap battling here. As we ride on board with Daniel Heaps, we're looking ahead momentarily, and now back at Eric Axelsen in 5th position. Thomas Potter still your race leader from Josh Martin. Both of those on the soft tyre. Again, when you think that Josh hasn't managed to put in the challenge to Thomas Potter, as Eric Axelsen now challenges Daniel Heaps again, coming down the hill. This is all the more remarkable for Thomas that he's managed to stay in front of Josh Martin. Eric Axelsen momentarily ahead, but Daniel Heaps comes through back on the inside as they climb back up the hill, and Heaps is back up into that 4th position, side by side with Axelsen again. Virtually the lap after lap here, side by side. Terrific racing from this pair.
Yeah, absolutely brilliant stuff there. As we see it, Eric going for the outside here, leaving enough room for Daniel Heaps. They're still side by side as we approach the corner exit as well. It really is anyone's game between these two drivers. And I think if you're a driver the likes of Thomas Potter, who's in such a good position here, he's got that margin to the cars behind, and he's lapping consistently as well, I should add. He's still in the 1:40s. He's still by a decent margin the quickest driver out on track, apart from Jack Smith, who is currently running in the 39s. So I think the strategy here is going to be for the drivers like those drivers I've just mentioned. Stay on the softs as long as possible. If you've looked after them well enough, they will reward you. You can take that slower medium for as little of this race as possible. Might be the strategy, as we now see Eric and Daniel diving into the pits to take that medium tyre.
They are. It'll be interesting to see where they come out, but it's going to be resumption of battle if they can keep their stops as close as they did with their racing on track. So 3rd position man here, Alex Walker. Super race from him. He's done well. It's our race leader though, Thomas Potter, who now has 8.5 seconds over Josh Martin in P2, and Thomas Potter's been threatening to do this. You know, reverse grid race or otherwise, the strategy has been absolutely brilliant. He had a super start. That's been his Achilles heel, in his own words, over the last couple of weeks with this car. Nailed that, as we said earlier on in the race, and he's got out and he's done everything that he needed to do in these early stages to stay clear, build the lead, keep his head down, and he's going to come into his pit stop with a good, healthy lead to go on to the medium tyre. Meanwhile, we pick up with the drivers that are on the mediums. Oliver Gibson and now what's happened to Scott Bidner on my screen? Okay, so we've got Oliver and Jack together. Jack in front at the moment of Oliver Gibson. Scott Bidner down in 8th place, down behind them with... Now, have they stopped yet, these guys? They haven't, have they?
No, they're still running on. Oh, they have stopped. Apologies.
For some reason, my timing screen hasn't updated my separate one, so I'm going to have to refresh that. It's not something I've had to do.
You will also have to accept my apologies there on saying that we're expecting a tyre compound change, and that is completely my bad. Forget, you should already disregard most things that I say, to be honest, but just in case, here's your reminder. As we think Jack's been putting that pressure on Sam Walton now as we head into that penultimate corner. Sam defending an outside line. He knows that move that a few drivers have been trying of, just getting a nose in on the outside there to potentially put a bit of extra pressure on and set yourself up nicely for that run into the final corner. Sam was wiser to it, but would that be enough? Let's see, as we're side by side now with Jack Smith and Sam Walton. Oliver Gibson also still very much in the mix here. He could be a dark horse in this battle as we head through turn 1 and up towards that infamous sausage curb, which has caught a few drivers out so far this evening. As we see, that is a nice clean run through there for Jack Smith. Oliver Gibson was side by side and swooped past as well. A great move for the two blue and pink liveried cars working in tandem. They said in the driver interviews they were going to potentially work together at the start of the race. I think we're still seeing that sportsmanship continue on at this point.
It is continuing, and while we're talking about being sporting, it would be unsporting not to mention the fact that Sam Walton, who's just been passed, was the I think the leading driver. He was the leading driver who had stopped, so some good strategy from Sam had got him into that position of being the leading driver who had stopped, and he's down in P3 now. But yeah, super stuff from him, and raced well with Jack and Oliver. Ultimately they've come through, but he's still there, not that far behind them now. So Jack Smith we're looking at is the leading driver having stopped. We've got just Thomas Potter and Josh Martin to have their stops. They're still on the soft tyre, so they're going to have work to do after they change over onto the medium tyre. So potentially we're looking at Jack Smith as the race leader comes in. He's in now, Thomas Potter. How quickly can he turn it around? There is the new race leader, Josh Martin. So I think we'd be brave to maybe bet against Jack Smith and Oliver Gibson for podium positions here. Who's going to be the third podium finisher?
Yeah, we'll just have to see. It's going to be potentially, but very likely to be one of these two, depending on how things play out. It does look like, I think it was a pretty good time to dive into pits there for Thomas Potter, but the pace that we've seen from both Jack Smith and Oliver Gibson at this phase of the race, that undercut on the tyres could have worked an absolute dream for these two now as we head later into this race. A flash of the headlights as we swoop on past. Just what we like to see. It does look great, this car at this circuit. A big thank you to all the work that goes on behind the scenes to get these liveries made up, to get the car mods produced, and get everyone racing in some fantastic kits. Now just over 10 minutes in this race, so we're in that final phase of the race now where we start to get a bit of that sprint race feeling returning at the end of our feature race.
We do get into that, and that in itself may well generate some dicing as we saw last time out. It's still Josh Martin's showing at the top of the screen, but the two brothers battling it out, and this is what I think this is what Oliver was hoping for in race 2, not to be in P2, but to be within striking distance of his brother, particularly having got pole position at the start of the meeting, as we watch Josh Martin now coming in for his stop. So Josh Martin is in and changing tyres, and having had his stop, Thomas Potter is there on track and will take the lead of the race, having executed very good strategy indeed. So asking about who might fill the podium, is it conceivable that Thomas Potter, now he's on the medium tyre, could be on for a podium slot here? We can see this pair closing in, so we're going to have a lead battle on our hands for sure, because remember Thomas is on the slow medium tyre now, and these two are on the soft, and they'll be belting around, racing each other, but also trying to close in on the teapot.
Yeah, they've been on these soft tyres now for a good few minutes already, so we're actually, in terms of this second set of tyres that they're running, we're pretty much tied with a regular sprint race distance. We saw it in race 1, they start to drop off a little bit. Race 2, in the midst of some proper hard battling, they really did start to drop off according to our drivers in the post-race 2 interview. So it's going to be a bold strategy, bold but brave, a bit like Jaguar in the modern era. But if it plays off, it could work very well indeed. They could be on for a very good finish, but let's not completely rule out the idea that their pace may drop off at the very end.
Yeah, we can't rule that out at all. At the moment, they're doing a little bit of formation racing, aren't they? There's no challenges going on other than to try and close down on that 5-second gap that Thomas Potter has. 5.5 seconds still out front. Thomas Potter, is he going to be able to hang on to it? The other driver is going to be, if these two get past, or indeed catch him, the other driver that he's going to be dicing with in terms of potential podiums are going to be Josh Martin and Scott Budner, who are currently 4th and 5th. So we might be looking at Scott Budner for another podium. Josh Martin, of course, had that similar strategy to Thomas Potter, stayed out a little bit longer, but was out front on his own, putting in some quick laps on the soft tyres in the early stages of the race. So Josh could wind up on the podium. We'll see how it all works though, as battle continue. Watching Scott Booker trying to close in on Josh Martin at the moment. It's Adam Lyle down behind. Adam's driven well, isn't he? Really recovered well from those early moments.
Yeah, absolutely. This is a track that Adam didn't feel like there were perhaps that many overtaking opportunities at, as we see Scott having a look to go side by side with Adam Lyle here. Adam Lyle then is just about, Scott Butler and Josh Martin, apologies, I've got Adam Lyle on my mind, we were just chatting about it, but if Scott now side by side with Josh Martin as we run through turn 3, there is Adam Lyle in the mix here, is closing up. As let's see then, it's going to be Scott Butler with the inside line for the next corner, but is he going to run too deep on the brakes? No, it's going to be Josh Martin having a look to hang it round the outside, has to back out of it because actually catches a bit of gravel there, loses momentum, and there goes Adam Lyle up into P5 now. As we say, he's been having a great race. He doesn't feel like there's been that many overtaking opportunities here at Austria. But there are certain scenarios where you can just be spurred on a little bit, I think, by a bit of pressure being applied, and certainly start this race was one of those. He didn't cram up that pressure, but is being rewarded with a great finish so far, and a great battle here with Josh Martin, Adam Lyle, Scott Butler here.
Yeah, Adam Lyle about to try and effect the pass side by side with Scott Butler, who was on the podium last time. Adam lost out in that one, but what a great fight back we've seen from him. And I love the fact we were kind of at this angle a couple of turns ago, and you didn't see the headlights flash, but you saw the light of the headlights on the back of the car, which I love from the virtual reality reconstruction, as it were. And this is frenetic stuff here. Adam Lyle is, I'm not saying this is red mist, but this is determination, which is a much better word than red mist as a phrase, because that's what he's trying to do, get up towards the podium. Remember, we were talking in terms of Scott Booker being a potential podium finisher, and therefore Adam Lyle, after this recovery, is in the same sort of boat at the moment, and finally I think has managed to make it stick.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm just watching on here, Scott Butler and Adam Lyle for that matter, as we headed through the first corner to the lap there. They really look like they're wrestling this car. The car looks so dynamic heading into those first couple of corners. Like the drivers are really fighting the car for everything that it has got, and it seems to have responded well there, as we see another flash of the headlights. As we go side by side actually now between Jack Smith and Oliver Gibson, these two working together for so long throughout this evening's racing, not just in this feature race but two sprints as well, and now it's time to see them actually have that rivalry out on track. A bit of back end stepping out for Jack Smith that allows Oliver Gibson to carry on through. This is going to be a great battle.
It is, already has been, and Oliver Gibson up into P2. The gap's come down to 3.7 seconds, but we've still got 4 minutes on the clock, so are they going to be able to close down on and pass Thomas Potter in 4 minutes, as there is contact there with Andy Carroll, and Andy loses a couple of positions there. That's a shame. I think my talk of potential podiums was very, very premature, because Thomas Potter at the moment, with just under 4 minutes on the clock, still with a 3.5 second lead over Oliver Gibson now in second, and Jack Smith in third, is in a position where he could potentially hold that lead, not just onto a podium. And there's a big gap, isn't there, back from Jack Smith in third to Josh Martin. So Josh Martin has got to close in 8.6 seconds on Jack Smith in order to be a podium contender here. So assuming we don't get any massive dramas, we're looking at Thomas Potter for a podium, possibly the win here. If he can hold his nerve, it's going to be a big test for the youngster.
Yeah, absolutely. This, I think, has been a very smartly executed race for Thomas Potter here. Perhaps the odds against him on the medium tyre later on in this stint, especially with Oliver Gibson and Jack Smith, who have demonstrated their pace so far this evening at this circuit, on the softs as well. But I think what has really helped Thomas out here, not apart from, as I say, his own very good execution of this race, is those two pink and blue liveried cars there, battling each other for a little bit of this phase of the race. That's slowed them down a little bit, and they've been pushing on quite hard on those softs. I suspect they're beginning to drop off, while Thomas Potter's mediums can pretty much do whatever he likes at this point. The car's got lighter, he's going to be able to cruise the car home, knowing that the tyre's going to be underneath him.
breathe. He's in sight now. He's in shot. Thomas Potter is within shot and within sight of the chasing brothers. Oliver Gibson leading Jack Smith there. Second and third across the line they go. And as soon as you see another driver, I know this from my very limited experience in karting, if you can see another driver, that's your focus. That spurs you on. And he's going to be within frame very soon. 2 minutes 13 to go. But we know Thomas Potter's a difficult man to overtake, as too is Adam Lyle. Eric Axelsen manages to go down the inside. So Eric makes up a position on Adam Lyle. But Adam again is going to fight back side by side with the VRRC multi-champion Eric Axelsen. Chris Blakey in behind as well. Chris has had a solid day's sport as well. Eric has had a couple of little touches on the back of Adam Lyle's car. Be interesting to hear the takes. There's another little bit of contact between the two of them. As with Paul O'Neill would say, that wasn't a little bit, that was a lot, Richard.
It was indeed. That was quite a lot of contact there. They were able to catch it, skilled racing drivers that they both are. I think that just was down to another one of those pinch points here on circuit where this is going to happen in the racing world, especially when we are racing so close. But good to see that they do survive that.
It is good, and they're still giving us some great racing here. And remember, we're watching this battle for fifth place between Adam Lyle and Eric Axelsen. The most physical I've seen Eric racing. Not saying that he doesn't get stuck in, he does. But I think he's having to be a little bit more aggressive to try and make the move on the car in front, and also to make it stick, which he hasn't been able to do so far on Adam Lyle, who's driven absolutely exceptionally this meeting thus far. Thomas Potter still out front though, so it's Potter from Gibson. The gap now 2.5 between first and second, so it could be a grandstand finish, but there's only 43 seconds left on the clock, plus the completion of the lap when the clock runs down. Side by side swipe again for them. Here we go with Oliver Gibson in P2. There is Thomas Potter, your race leader, whose strategy has been absolutely perfect in this one so far. 27 seconds remaining, and is this going to be the final tour for Thomas Potter, or are we going to eke another lap out, and the chance that perhaps the pole position man Oliver Gibson could close down on him?
I think if you're Thomas Potter, I think you know which answer you'd rather it be at this phase, wouldn't you? But it's well predicted, I must say there, Richard. It is coming down to the absolute wire now. Oliver Gibson and Jack Smith pushing on until the very end. Thomas Potter's pace starting to drop off ever so slightly now. That could be tyres, that could just be the sight of the pink and blue liveried cars hunting him down in tandem.
They are closing. Thomas Potter, though, is still there. It's just under a second at the moment. And bear in mind, Thomas has had this scenario in his head to deal with, the youngster. He's not even old enough to race in junior formulae on the circuits till next October. So that is the experience in that car. And he's learning massively from the VRRC racing that's been put on for all of us. You know, if he holds on, great. If he doesn't, then he'll take this as a learning opportunity. But he's still driving well, is Thomas Potter. But you can see Oliver Gibson closing up and very nearly now within striking distance. But it's all too late as they come off the final turn. Oliver Gibson's going to have a run to the flag. Is he going to come out of the slipstream? He's going to have a go. He can't do it. Thomas Potter, look at that little bit of showboating from Potter. The doors are open as Thomas Potter takes his first win of the campaign. Oliver Gibson second, Jack Smith in third, Josh Martin in P4. Further 10 seconds down is Josh Martin. He takes the flag as well. Eric Axelsen fifth from Adam Carroll. Scott Budner in seventh. We saw Chris Blakey taking a tag just towards the out of shot, I think on the penultimate lap, and dropped down the order as a result of that. But Chris does finish behind Christian Gillian. Lee Pearcey is up ahead of him. Spinner on the last corner. But what a superb weekend, a superb event from Jack Smith and Oliver Gibson, but great strategy and super racing by Thomas Potter, who takes the win. I think he might be a happy lad, and you'll get the chance to talk to him if you mind picking up the positions 3 and 1 for us. And we'll have those interviews for you, along with some celebrations from Thomas Potter in just a couple of moments.
Another blockbuster end to a brilliant set of races here at the Rebel Ring this evening. We've thoroughly enjoyed it. Let's have a brief chat with our drivers from the podium for our feature race this evening. And once again, we get the opportunity to have a chat with Jack Smith this evening. Congratulations, Jack, on a P3, another podium to add to this evening's tally. Did you enjoy it out there?
Yeah, that was really good fun. I mean, to be fair, I've got to give props to Ollie for that one because he was driving unreal in that race. I don't know what he changed between 2 and 3, but that was bonkers, the pace he had in that last stint. So yeah, I think Ollie really truly, I think he deserved that. Getting so close to that win, I think he could have done it for sure if he just had like that tiny, maybe a 10th extra per lap would have done it. But yeah, it's just one of those things. I think Ollie did super well in that race though, coming from 16th all the way to P2 at the end. It's a mega achievement, and yeah, myself, we did the strategy paid off massively. So yeah, Zach Brown, hit me up whenever you've got a spare opening.
Yeah, it's certainly. I think the exhaustion's been creeping in a little bit for a couple of the drivers so far this evening. This Rebel Ring circuit is very energy demanding. How are you feeling after that feature race?
I'm not too bad. I don't really like to have it too high on the force feedback. I'm getting. I mean, you know, when I go to work, I drive go-karts every single day, all the time. So it's I'm not too worn out, but I'm just really warm at the minute. Is what I am, and I am a bit sweaty after that one for sure. But yeah, it was yeah, it's good fun. It was really enjoyable. So yeah, normally I'm not that good at this track, but yeah, tonight was a little bit different. So yeah, really happy with the results.
Yeah, race 3 then was exactly sort of what we'd expected from you after your interviews in race 2, where I think the plan was pretty much just kind of pick off places as you went through, wasn't it? And we certainly saw that. Were you, is there anything more you think that you had on the table in that race, really?
I mean, we got quite lucky with some of the cars in front getting taken out and saw Eric get spun round, unfortunately. So that was a bit of a bummer for the racing aspect of it. But yeah, and a couple of us at the start, I can't remember exactly, but yeah, Eric was a notable one that I was like, oh man, that could have been a good battle. But yeah, it's two things. Obviously, we were prepared for that, but yeah, not strategy. Yeah, luck wise, we got insanely lucky with what happened in the circuit and where we were placed at the right time. So it's one of those things. It's just a properly lucky set of races, and yeah, we just got insanely lucky in this round, and yeah, put the work in when the luck was there. So yeah, and that's really what it's all about, really. I think there maybe could have been a few couple attempts here and there. Maybe I think the pit stops went really well as well. Yeah, I'm not really too sure what I would have changed other than maybe try and seek a few more tenths of a second every lap. But yeah, everything just seemed to work today. So yeah, really happy.
Yeah, everything going to plan. That's what we like to hear. So seem pretty pleased overall with the round at Rebel Ring. Let's have a look then at our final round coming up. Obviously, you're doing very well in the championship. We have a look on then to the Nurburgring. What are your thoughts heading into that round?
It's the GP circuit, and I love the GP circuit. It's one of my favorite circuits in the world. So yeah, it couldn't have been a better track to finish on, to be honest. So yeah, but as the trend seems to be this season, all the tracks I hate, I seem to do really good at. So yeah, we'll have to see what happens. But I've got my fingers crossed until next week. So yeah, we'll have to see. But yeah, I'm super looking forward to it. Really like the Nurburgring GP circuit. So yeah, it's just one that I've always just clicked at, So yeah, I'm really excited for that. Definitely gonna do some more prep for that for the season finale. So yeah, it should be good.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you very much for your time there, Jack. Congratulations once again on your results here at the Rebel Ring, and best luck for the next round. That is Jack Smith, P3 in the end in the feature race.
Thank you very much. And just quick shout out to everyone watching the Hockenheim. I know my girlfriend's here now; she's probably watching. And then shout out to all the guys at DK Power, Dave, Mike, and Brian might be watching as well. So thanks to you guys.
Fantastic stuff then. Oh, sorry, Richard, I'll let you take charge.
Sorry, Reeve. Yeah, I was just saying good luck for getting sponsors in, and that's another good mark why any team would be very well served to get Jack on board. Oliver, though, well done, P2, and I think just looking at the points, 7-point gap between yourself and Jack going into the final round, but strategy was a good one there, wasn't it?
Yeah, it worked out all right in the end. Pit stop was a bit rubbish. I lost quite a bit there, but tyres at the end were good. Pace was all right, just not enough. I made a few mistakes in the last corner on a few laps. I think 2 laps in a row, so that that didn't help. But yeah, I mean, a mega drive from Thomas because I mean, we were gaining quite a bit, and I would have, if I was in his shoes, I'd have been feeling the pressure. So fair play to him for hanging on, and I'm happy I beat Jack for a change. So yeah, all's good. Just 7 points isn't quite as close as I was hoping, but Jack's obviously, me and Jack know he's absolutely rapid around Nurburgring, so it's going to be a bit of a mountain to climb. But you never know in VRRC, so we'll have to wait and see.
You don't. I mean, if someone had written the script for tonight, you probably wouldn't have believed it. But particularly from not having the reverse grid race, so that maybe helped to some extent in terms of the points because Jack had that start in front of you. But who knows? And yeah, that's the point as you made. We don't know what's going to come up in terms of next week at the Nurburgring. But pretty decent evening's racing, and it started well, didn't it? With pole, so you knew you had the pace from the word go.
Yeah, the pole was big confidence boost, to be fair. But yeah, the starts were very good tonight. Need to work on that for next week because they put me in all 3 races in a bad. I mean, race 3 was alright because I managed to gain a bit because everyone was checking up on the first corner, so I managed to get a few places there. But initially, like, off the line starts were a bit rubbish today, so I need to fix that. But yeah, if I fix that, we'll see. I need to get some good practice in for Nurburgring because I'm working on the Tuesday before, so I can't get much or many laps in then. So this weekend will be Nurburgring, I think.
Flat out on that one, trying to get it going. Sort of unusually, I mean, the last couple of weeks we've not seen too much reverse grid shenanigans, first corner shenanigans, should we call it? But there was a little bit more on that, but it seemed to fall reasonably well for you and Jack, and you made a lot of positions up very quickly. You were up in the top 10 very quickly. So there is an element of fortune, but equally you do have to try and pick your way through, don't you?
Yeah, we were quite lucky. A few incidents. But yeah, I mean, we did make some good moves. I think both me and Jack made some good moves and some moves that needed to be quite, in the moment, sort of had to be done there. Otherwise, you're going to be stuck behind them for another lap. But yeah, the luck was definitely on our side. So hopefully, when it get to Nurburgring, we can still have a bit of luck. But I think my dad says you have to make your own luck. So
you do. You absolutely do. He's 100% right. You do. I think it was a very well-known golf player, Jack Nicklaus, who it's a world-famous quote, and he said, people said how lucky he was, and he said, the funny thing is, the more I practice, the luckier I get. And that's very, very true. You guys put the effort in to do what you do so well. So well done on P2, and a great evening, and thanks for entertaining us, Oliver, and we'll see you next week.
Yep, see you then. Cheers.
So back to Reeve for our winners interview.
Yes, thank you very much, Richard. And this is one that I've been looking forward to, Thomas. This is actually my first chance to interview you, so thank you very much for taking the time there. But I imagine you're pretty pleased with how things turned out in the feature race there, Thomas?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, seeing DK Power Boys, 2 of them behind you, is quite scary at the time, but surprised I coped with the pressure as well as I did.
Yeah, you certainly did there. We'd heard comments about at the start of the race weekend how you weren't entirely confident on getting this car off the line here and making away. But what we've seen so far is that the launches were great in all the racing that we've seen this weekend, and especially when it really counted here in this feature race with the reverse grid, you were just able to break away. So could you talk us through a little bit about what your mindset is as you're in that situation where you've just got to try and build a gap in this longer longer feature race?
Well, if I'm being honest, for this starting the feature race, I want to say thanks to my dad because I was actually practicing doing starting his learner car in preparation for this, which I'm surprised he let me do. But well, I've just realised my mum's watching, so I might get told off after this. But and then throughout the race, I was just on the softs at the start. I was just trying to get the gap, and I think I was the most consistent I've ever been possible, getting at least 2 tenths a lap on Josh, and then as people were defending P3 and back, I was just getting seconds on them, as well as them being on mediums. And in the last stint in the mediums, I was just trying to get as fast as possible every lap because I knew well, as soon as Oliver got past Jack, I knew I was in for it, and I had to be as fast as possible. But I think I could have probably defended him for a couple of laps after seeing how well Adam did at defending.
Yeah, it was some great racing, and also you mentioned the strategy that came into play there. We saw you take perhaps a slightly different strategy to what most of the grid took. We saw a couple of earlier pitters who went straight onto the softs as well. Was there a kind of decision that you made earlier on throughout your practice, perhaps where you decided I'm going to push the softs as long as possible and then jump onto the harder tyre? Was that something that you felt better off doing?
Well, to be honest, in the interview that Oliver said, when he said you've got to try to get off the mediums as fast as possible. At that point, I realised I was already on softs in the grid, so I was going to go just complete opposite. Go on the softs as long as possible and go on the mediums at last and just try and make it stick.
Yeah, it certainly did as well. So do whatever he doesn't do is an old adage from another fellow commentator of plenty more experience than myself. But that certainly seemed to work. And we had that great battle towards the end. You alluded to a moment ago the pressure of seeing the two pink and blue liveried cars hunting you down there. And I was hoping you could talk a little bit through that battle that you ended up having at the final part of the race. Was it good fun?
Well, not fun at the time, but at the end I realised it was actually quite fun. But on that last lap, when I saw him within a second of me by the end of the first corner, I was like, I just gotta go brake a bit early and try to get the exit. And then so when it came to the line, I knew I had just enough of the exit to keep the P1 as I just broke a bit early and just tried to get that nail the exit down.
Well, nail it, you certainly did. So you've had a good, enjoyable time at Rebel Ring, I hope. So we look on then to the final round of the season, the Nurburgring GP circuit. What are your thoughts heading into that round?
Well, from last time, I think it was a Cooper in the Nurburgring GP. I actually had some pace in the race, but in the qualifying I just got it all wrong in the Cooper. So I'm going to hope if I actually get a qualifying right, I might be able to keep the pace up through the race and hopefully we'll get another podium or P1.
Well, I certainly wish you the best of luck in that endeavour. Congratulations once again on the feature race win for round 7. That goes to Thomas Potter. Thank you for your time there, Thomas.
Yeah, thank you.
Well done, Thomas, and thanks to Reeve for doing the interviews and for joining us again this week. And one more pot to announce, or a trophy to announce, which is our driver of the round has gone to Adam Lyle. So I don't know if we probably won't get a chance to talk to Adam, but congratulations, Adam, on a fine day's racing, and particularly that third race where he came back from some incidents earlier on and taken out through no fault of his own to come back. So Adam Lyle is our driver of the round. For round 7. Round 8 is, as you've already heard several times during our broadcast, is our final event as we lead into the end of the season. It is Nurburgring GP. We look forward to your company there. So from Rich Hayden and Reeve Taylor and myself, we wish you well. Be nice to each other, and we'll see you next week. Bye for now.
Between the two of them,
The inside of coats,
Parker gets too heavily involved.
and that's Whitehead and Coates.